Chapter 321. This is old Mr. Du Xiao. After Yu Manran introduced Bei Yunj, he introduced Du Xiao. This is Bei Yunj. Hello. Bei Yunj smiled and shook hands with Du Xiao. After that, Bei Yunj asked unhurriedly, "May I know why old Mr. Du is looking for me?" These words stunned Du Xiao for a moment. Then he reacted and widened his eyes in excitement. You are Yuan? When Bei Yunj heard this, he turned around and asked Yu Manran, "Is that my name?" "That's right," Yu Manran said with a serious expression. "You don't know how popular a scientific researcher was a while ago. If you use this name, you will definitely be scolded for trying to gain popularity. So the company asked me to help you change your name. How is it? It sounds pretty good, right?" After Bei Yunj verified it, he turned to look at Du Xiao. "Old Mr. Du, you can speak now. I want to ask if Miss Pei has any interest in developing in the direction of music." Du Xiao was a little nervous. He didn't expect that this popular arranger, Yuan, would be so young. "No, I just need money occasionally." Bei Yunj's words made Yu Manran's eyelids twitch. He didn't expect Bei Yunj to really define arranging as a part-time job. But Miss Pei is very talented. I won't be thick-skinned and say that I want to be Miss Pei's teacher, but if Miss Pei is willing, I'm willing to pave the way for Miss Pei. Du Xiao couldn't help but persuade her. "But what benefits will this bring to you, old Mr. Du?" Even Yu Manran couldn't help but ask. This was a top musician who was popular both at home and abroad. "I do have a favor to ask of Miss Pei. As the president of the International Musicians Association, I hope that Miss Pei can become a member of our International Musicians Association." Du Xiao smiled helplessly. "I have an obsession. I always hope that the International Musicians Association can have a person from country A. Unfortunately, when I was 6 or 7 years old, I had already migrated. I don't have a proper status. I won't develop in this direction, but if Elder Du thinks that I'm suitable to join the International Musicians Association, I will also consider it." Du Xiao's eyes lit up when he heard that Bei Yunj was willing to give in. "Sure. That's naturally possible." Du Xiao gave Bei Yunj his contact number and smiled from ear to ear. "I'll wait for your good news then, Miss Pei." Bei Yunj watched Du Xiao leave, but there was no emotion in his eyes. "Father Pei, this is an invitation from the president of the International Musicians Association. Are you going or not?" Yu Manran had just suppressed his excitement, but after Du Xiao left, he excitedly grabbed Bei Yunj's hand. Once the name of a member of the International Musicians Association was released, it would cause a sensation in the industry. After all, this was the first time the International Musicians Association had extended an invitation to someone from their country. Moreover, the president had personally invited him. Qin Youjiao was sucking up to Du Xiao because she wanted to build a relationship with him. After all, with her current aptitude, she could not enter the International Musicians Association. Think about it. Bei Yunj turned around and walked into the building. Yu Manran, who had caught up from behind, actively put in a good word for Du Xiao. Until the banquet ended, the guests had also arranged their rooms. However, when Bei Yunj pushed open the door of Building 7 of Yuther Residence, she found that the lights inside were dim. There seemed to be someone lying on the sofa. "Brother?" Bei Yunj walked closer and saw the man's figure clearly. The handsome and dignified man was leaning against the sofa lazily. His side profile was well defined and his facial features were well defined. Chapter 322. The man leaned against the sofa. The cold fragrance on his body was stained with the smell of alcohol. The 2 buttons on his collar were loose, revealing his exquisite collarbone. His exposed skin seeped into his firm chest that made people blush and their hearts race. It looked like a tempting crime scene. Bei Yunj's long eyelashes fluttered, hiding the thoughts in her eyes and a certain thought that was about to take action. "Brother, are you asleep?" Bei Yunj asked. However, after a while, the man leaning on the sofa did not move. "You're sleeping so soundly," Bei Yunj muttered to herself. She rested her chin on her hand and gently brushed her index finger across the man's eyelashes. "Why are you so good-looking?" With that said, suddenly, Bei Yunj's mind replayed what Yu Manran had said last time. The easiest ways to test your feelings are to hold hands, kiss and make love. Her beautiful face was unreadable, but her gaze landed on the man's thin red lips. Suddenly, Bae-yunj called out softly again, "Brother?" Seeing that there was no movement, Bae-yunj's lips suddenly curved. Her lazy and beautiful eyes made people unable to take their eyes off her. "I'm sorry, brother. It's your Yunyun's birthday today. I want a birthday present." Bae-yunj's eyes curled up slightly. Her clear eyes looked harmless, but she said without any guilt, "Then brother, just take it that I secretly took advantage of you." With that said, Bae-yunj could not help but gently hold the man's hand. Her red lips moved closer to his warmth. This was just a very light touch, like a feather falling on the surface of a lake. When Bae-yunj raised her head again, her eyebrows moved. She muttered to herself, "I don't seem to feel anything." What was going on? Suddenly, Bae-yunj's fingers seemed to move slightly. She looked up suddenly, her heart beating so fast that she abandoned all distracting thoughts. However, Washida did not wake up. Seeing this, Bae-yunj's hanging heart finally relaxed. Sure enough, when a person does something bad, they will definitely feel guilty. Hence, the guilty Bae-yunj could not wake Hwashidu up. She could only go upstairs and find a thin blanket to cover the man before going upstairs silently. She didn't realize that her ears had turned red. She also didn't notice that the man on the sofa had slowly opened his eyes. His pair of pale and abstinent eyes had gradually darkened, hiding all the light in them. The next day, Hwashidu came down from upstairs and realized that Bae-yunj had already left. "Master Du, you didn't sleep last night?" Sung-soo felt that there was something wrong with Master Du's state. He seemed to have something on his mind. But when he thought about it, he felt that something wasn't right. Master Du had always acted casually, and had never taken anything to heart. How could he be troubled? Will the younger generation in your family take the initiative to get close to their elders? The man sitting at the table asked inexplicably with a calm expression. "Of course I will." Sung-soo chuckled. "I have a niece who really likes me. Then to what extent would her most intimate actions be?" Hwashida's eyes darkened. "Kiss me." Sung-soo thought for a while. His little niece, who was 3 or 4 years old, liked to smear saliva on other people's faces. Hwashidu fell silent, and thought of the little girl's sneaky actions last night. He felt that this action was a little beyond his understanding. So much so that he didn't open his eyes immediately after waking up last night. "Master Du, why are you suddenly concerned about this?" Sung-soo was stunned. "It's nothing." Hwashida glanced at him and said calmly, "I just feel that this isn't very good. P.S. Master Du is going to start wooing people. Good guys, remember the monthly ticket." Chapter 323. What's wrong with that? I'm an elder, so it's only right. Hearing this, the man's eyes still looked indifferent, but there was an inexplicable aggressiveness in them. He snorted. "Ridiculous." Sung-soo was speechless. As an elder, you have to know your limits. Don't let the younger generation misunderstand. You should give appropriate care. No one knew who Hwashidu was talking to. Sung-soo scratched his head in confusion. Misunderstanding? Why would she misunderstand? What could a 3 or 4-year-old niece misunderstand? Go get the car and go to the company first. No emotions could be seen in Hwashida's noble and superior eyes as his tone was light. Yes. After Sung-soo left, Hwashidu unconsciously caressed his thin red lips with the back of his fingers. He remembered what happened last night, including that secret kiss. It was as if there was still warmth on his lips. Hwashidu hid the emotions in his eyes very well, and his expression gradually returned to normal. This time, it was his fault for not paying attention and affecting the little girl's studies. Someone else had placed the child with him, but he had almost led her astray. At this thought, Hwashidu felt that the matter was still a little difficult to deal with. He could not tell the little girl openly, or it would hurt her pride. But Hwashida's current mood was still unclear. However, he could not do something like harming high school students. This morning, the headlines exploded. The Chin and Chung family's birthday banquets were all over the internet. Initially, everyone thought that the Chung family would definitely stand out for Chin Yojiao this time. However, who would have thought that the guests from the Chin family would expose themselves one by one? They were all terrifying. So much so that the anti-fans could not think of a good word for a moment. How could I forget back then? This Bei Yunj was raised by Director Lin. She is indeed the elder young miss of the scientific research field. Elder Zhong, Professor Yu Guang, and the rest are all there. It's not just the scientific research field. I know that the Qin family has a lot of connections. However, the successors of the top 5 companies in the country last year all went to Uther residence to report. This is amazing. The big boss seems to have been collected by someone. Goodbye. Is there really such a thing? The commenter above is wrong. The CEO of Minglong Corporation was stopped outside and not allowed to enter. I don't know about other things, but Minglong Group? Wasn't it rumored that he went to the Chung family? Originally, I went there. But I don't know why I suddenly ran out of Platinum Gold Royal Hotel and stood in front of Uther residence for 2 hours. The netizens who saw this news could no longer describe their feelings at this moment. Let me reveal something. I guarantee it's true. Last night, the fake daughter invited 2 big shots. After they left, the number of guests could be counted with 2 hands. No way, no way, no way. Is this still the only person invited to our Neely 18 debutante ball? Doghead. Is there a need to be jealous? He had to hand it to them. The entire internet was filled with hostility, and they were all worshipping money. So what if she's a real daughter? No matter how highly trash is praised, she's still trash. Yeah, she's not even a fake daughter. Neely's 18th prom invited a fake one, but they didn't invite the real one. She's bragging about the Neely 18 ball again. Jiao Fan, thumbs up. In the piano room, Chu Zhixing was playing the piano. Bei Yunj still didn't sleep well last night. Her eyes were slightly red, but she wasn't sleepy. Instead, she was thinking about what happened last night. Chapter 324. You can even be in a daze? Lu Yuanxi looked at her with a complicated gaze. For the past week he had been tortured by the sound of the piano and was about to have a heart attack. After Bei Yunj came back to her senses, she looked at Lu Yuanxi and then at Chu Zhixing, who had finished playing. Master Pei, I played well, didn't I? Chu Zhixing didn't know why, but he was very confident in his piano skills. Bei Yunj nodded and said lazily, yes, as I listen, I seem to know how to write my will. Chu Zhixing. Lu Yuanxi, who was beside him, burst out laughing. As expected of Master Pei, he was right to catch her. Fatty Chu had been obsessed with piano practice recently. He dragged him to listen to him play the piano, and often felt good about himself. If a ruthless person didn't come, he would think that he was a genius. Nonsense, I have a sister who likes me to play the piano the most. Chu Zhixing frowned. If it were any other time, Bei Yunj might have teased him a little, but now she wasn't in the mood. After that, before Chu Zhixing could ask Bei Yunj persistently, Bei Yunj's phone rang. I'm going to take a call. Bei Yunj walked out and glanced at the caller ID. It was an unfamiliar number. After the call was connected, before Bei Yunj could say anything, she heard an anxious voice. Miss Pei? It's me. I'm Vice President Lin. Director Lin's scandal. I don't know who made the headlines. I'll suppress it for you, but the number of views is too big. It's difficult to suppress it. What? Pei Yunj furrowed her eyebrows as her eyes turned cold. Do you want to take a look for yourself? Vice President Lin took a deep breath and asked carefully. He really didn't have the guts to say anything about Director Lin. Even if he didn't know if it was true or not, many people on the internet had already spread it quickly. After all, because of the topic of Bei Yunj, even Director Lin's attention had increased a lot. Got it, thank you. The temperature in Bei Yunj's eyes gradually turned cold. When Vice President Lin heard this gratitude, he felt inexplicably flattered. Next, Bei Yunj had just hung up the phone when she saw Zhong Xinglin's message. Someone wanted her help and asked for her opinion. Not free. After Bei Yunj replied, she left the school and went to the nearest internet cafe, Computing Institute. I'm sorry. I rejected it. Zhong Xinglin smiled as he looked at the handsome and masculine man in front of him. He had already expected this. With Bei Yunj's temper, it would be impossible for her to agree. Ji Yiqing looked at him and said in a gentle tone, this case is very important to our entire district. Elder Zhong, I sincerely want to borrow it from you. Yiqing, your grandfather and I are old acquaintances. If I can help you, I will naturally help you. But she's not from my institute. Even if she was from my institute, she was groomed to be the successor of the director. Zhong Xinglin's smile didn't reach his eyes. If she doesn't agree to it, I won't force her. Ji Yiqing clenched his fists and pressed the tip of his tongue against his cheek. After a while he asked again, is there only one person in the entire institute who can help me? Most of the people in the institute are academic. 1 or 2 people who know how to track and decipher are not as good as the people under you. Zhong Xinglin smiled again and said, as for giving her a computer, I don't know how well she can control it. Chapter 325. He knew about the Computing Institute, because Zhong Xinglin had accidentally bragged about it when he was drinking with Old Master Ji 2 days ago. But he didn't expect that Zhong Xinglin treated her like a treasure, and didn't want her to have any contact with the war zone. You have high expectations of her. Ji Yiqing smiled. But Grandpa Zhong, this is the first time I'm begging you. Can you help me ask her again? I've been investigating this case for a year and a half, and 2 friends have already died. They have very powerful technical figures behind them, and they always get our information 1 step ahead of us. Hearing this, a hint of hesitation flashed across Zhong Xinglin's eyes, but he still didn't want Bai Yunj to get involved in this kind of thing. After all, it was too dangerous for Bai Yunj, and it was very easy for vicious criminals to target her. But now that Ji Yiqing had visited several times, he could tell that this matter was already serious. Yiqing, let's talk again when we're free. I still have a meeting to attend. After Zhong Xinglin finished speaking, he patted Ji Yiqing's shoulder and left. It was as if he was afraid that if he stayed any longer, he would really be unable to resist helping Ji Yiqing. Seeing Zhong Xinglin leave, Ji Yiqing's subordinate frowned. Elder Zhong is obviously not such a person. Why won't he even lend us a person? Ahui, Elder Zhong can't afford to gamble either. Ji Yiqing's gaze darkened. He understood the importance of the Computing Institute. Let's go. After leaving the Computing Institute, Ahui, who was beside Ji Yiqing, couldn't help but ask, are we giving up just like that? Since Elder Zhong isn't willing to pull the strings, then I can only come and disturb you, Ji Yiqing said lightly. Internet cafe. Bai Yunj's eyes darkened when she saw the old news about Director Lin online. These photos of Director Lin when she was young looked real. But the person who exposed the news said that Director Lin was a mistress who destroyed other people's families when she was young. As for these photos, they were also taken when she was caught in bed. At this moment, the comments were already at 2 extremes. One side felt that Director Lin was kind-hearted and wouldn't do such a thing. Otherwise, she wouldn't have done so many good deeds. On the other hand, the other side felt that Principal Lin was only doing this to clear her name. Even the matter of Bai Yunj was brought up again, mocking Director Lin for wanting to marry into a wealthy family. Bai Yunj's eyes darkened. Seeing that the news couldn't die down, he decided to help the technical department. So much so that the technical department, who had been frantically deleting posts after receiving the task, thought that they were seeing things. Why did these posts suddenly disappear? Vice President. The post that we wanted to delete disappeared on its own. The head of the technical department was still in a daze. Vice President Lin was silent for a moment. The person who would do such a thing immediately appeared in his mind. It's okay. It's good that it's gone. You guys can continue with your work. Vice President Lin also took a deep breath. His heart that had been hanging in the air finally relaxed. Fortunately, this ancestor didn't get angry. Bai Yunj flipped through the information she had copied on her phone and went to the Computing Institute. Meanwhile, Ji Yiqing, who had nothing to do and was sitting in the car, saw a familiar figure. Isn't that Master Du's daughter? Last night, he saw this little girl whispering to Master Du at the birthday party. Today, he actually saw her appear at the institute. Isn't this the real daughter? Ahui's tone was a little mocking. The Qin family isn't enough for her to behave atrociously, so they all came here? Chapter 326. Ahui. Ji Yiqing glanced at him warningly. No matter what Bai Yunj was, she was still Hushida's woman. Ahui was a little indignant. He looked at Qin Youjiao from the Qin family. She was clearly much better than this ignorant and incompetent real young lady. However, he did not expect the Qin family to be so ruthless. They chased her out directly and even announced it to everyone. She's indeed out of place here, Ahui said softly. That has nothing to do with you. The moment Bai Yunj entered the Computing Institute, she called Director Lin. However, no one answered after ringing for a long time. She seemed to have thought of something and quickened her steps as a trace of coldness flashed past her eyes. However, Si Qingyan, who happened to see Bai Yunj, was frightened by her murderous gaze. Usually, Bai Yunj looked lazy, so much so that he almost forgot that when he first saw her. This person looked like she was not to be trifled with. But now he did not know who had provoked Bai Yunj. Who are you looking at? Zhong Xinglin came over and asked in confusion. Your baby looks like she wants to kill someone's entire family today. Si Qingyan gloated. Zhong Xinglin's expression darkened, and he slapped the back of Si Qingyan's head. Speak more elegantly. There are girls in our institute too. Si Qingyan was perplexed. Really? Did Bai Yunj even count? I'm not going to argue with you. I'll go find Gu'er. With that said, Zhong Xinglin turned around with a loving smile on his face. Si Qingyan was speechless. This old man was heartless. He did not even think about who had accompanied him for 2 years and never left him. In the research lab, Bai Yunj glanced at the information she had found and called Director Lin's son, Lin Jiannan. After the phone beeped twice, a very drunk man answered her call. Who is it? Bai Yunj sat in front of the long table, her fingers tapping on the table carelessly as she said slowly, Bai Yunj. Where is Grandma? Lin Jiannan smiled when he heard the voice. Yo, you've become a phoenix after flying up the branch. You still fancy that old thing Lin Lanjun? Oh, I almost forgot. This old thing is very powerful. It's only right for you to curry favor with him. Upon hearing Lin Jiannan's words, Bai Yunj suppressed the coldness in her eyes and repeated, Where? You won't be able to see her. If you want to see her so badly, how about you give me 1,000,000 yuan? Bai Yunj controlled her temper and said casually, 10 million, and I'll take care of Grandma in the future. Of course, she knew what kind of scum Lin Jiannan was. But in any case, this was Principal Lin's son. She had to give him face. Yo, you've really become the daughter of a wealthy family. 10 million is so easy. What a pity, I think it's too little. Lin Jiannan's eyes were filled with greed. I want 50 million. All right, I want him today. Bai Yunj didn't say much to Lin Jiannan. She just asked him to send her the address. The phone call had just ended. A few young men around them who had overheard the conversation between Bai Yunj and Lin Jiannan were itching for money. Brother Nan, how can 50 million be enough? The Qin family's assets are hundreds of millions. Lin Jiannan raised his chin at the crowd. Of course 50 million isn't enough. I'll ask for more after I've spent all my money. In any case, that old thing would definitely take care of him. Brother Nan, why don't we just do something big? A shrewd look flashed across the eyes of the person who spoke. How about we kidnap Bai Yunj together, and let the Qin family take the ransom? I heard that Bai Yunj spent hundreds of millions on her birthday party. P.S. My precious child, remember the monthly ticket. Chapter 327. What if that wretched girl calls the police? Lin Jiannan was still worried. Brother Nan, you're Director Lin's son. One of his followers went up to massage Lin Jiannan's shoulders. He laughed and said, Look, that wretched girl gave you 50 million for Director Lin. If you can get a few 100 million, we won't have to worry about the rest of our lives. That's right. The Qin family doesn't lack money anyway. The person next to him agreed. Lin Jiannan was tempted when he heard this. In the end, he sent an address to Bai Yunj. At this moment, the person who had just suggested the plan secretly made a phone call. Mrs. Ning, Lin Jiannan has already planned to kidnap Bai Yunj. We'll proceed according to your plan. That's good. The woman sitting in the bungalow had a calculating and shrewd look in her eyes. Her nails were painted red as she stroked the Persian cat in her arms. How can a person like Lin Lanjun enjoy her old age? Continue to instigate Lin Jiannan to personally destroy Bai Yunj. Do you understand? By then, the Qin family will probably go crazy. Don't worry, Mrs. Ning. We'll definitely complete the task you've given us, the person said respectfully. Bei Yunj looked at the address Lin Jiannan sent and laughed ambiguously. Gu, what's wrong? Are you in a bad mood? Zhong Shenglin knocked on the door and walked in gently. Bei Yunj didn't hide anything from Zhong Shenglin and roughly told him about Director Lin. Hearing this, even Zhong Shenglin's face darkened. This matter is most likely related to that person from the Ning family. Back then, she was always against Lanjun. Lanjun has a good temper and didn't take it to heart. Zhong Shenglin said coldly, she's already so old, but she's still bringing up old scores. Elder Zhong, I'm going to the abandoned chemical plant in the southern district, Bei Yunj said. I'll get a few people to go with you. Although it was a private place, the higher-ups still sent people to protect them. This was also to prevent criminals from having designs on high-tech products. No need. A dark look flashed past Bei Yunj's eyes. If she brought people over, she wouldn't be able to see what Lin Jiannan wanted to do. Okay, be careful. Call me if you need anything. All right. Bei Yunj smiled. At the door, Ahui was surprised to see that Zhong Shenglin had personally escorted Bei Yunj out. Elder Zhong sent her out? Brother Ji, even you don't get such treatment, right? Ai Hui was in disbelief. Ji Yiqing had been staring at Bei Yunj all along. He saw that her expression was indifferent, without any enthusiasm, but she seemed to have a good relationship with Zhong Shenglin. Could she be Elder Zhong's granddaughter? Ahui made a bold guess. Maybe the Qin family had found the wrong person. Don't talk nonsense. As soon as Ji Yiqing finished speaking, he felt Bei Yunj's gaze on him. His entire body froze. At the same time, Zhong Shenglin asked, What's wrong, Gu'er? Elder Zhong, someone's watching us. Bei Yunj smiled faintly, then said to Zhong Shenglin, You can go back first. Okay. A strange look appeared in Zhong Shenglin's eyes. He glanced at the ordinary car not far away and entered the place without saying a word. After that, Bei Yunj took a taxi and left. She didn't look at Ji Yiqing's side. She scared me to death. I thought she discovered us. Ahui, drive. Follow her. Ji Yiqing instructed. Ha! Aren't we blocking the way? Why should we follow her? Ahui was unwilling. Chapter 328. If you don't leave now, Elder Zhong will whip you with a broom. Ji Yiqing's unhurried words woke Ai Hui up abruptly. He really saw Zhong Shenglin holding a broom and 7 or 8 security guards behind him with electric batons in their hands. They appeared very aggressive. Ahui held back his expletives and drove quickly. Bei Yunj was playing with her phone and asked with a smile. Uncle, can we shake off the car behind us? Then sit tight, my daughter. I'll give it a try. Hearing this, the driver put down the thermos cup happily, stepped on the gas pedal, and sped off. Ahui, who was behind him, was caught off guard. He saw the taxi disappear after a turn like a sci-fi movie. F***CK. Ahui's face turned pale. At this moment, the driver sped off, revealing a large coiling dragon tattoo on his arm. My daughter, is that a stalker? Do you want me to call the police? Bei Yunj looked at him with interest. No need. The southern district is very chaotic, and the chemical plant has been abandoned. If something happens to you, Mom and Dad will be heartbroken. Don't be so reckless. The driver said with an accent. Okay, thank you, Uncle. Bei Yunj nodded, but she did not hide the laziness in her eyes. After getting out of the car, the driver could not bear it and left her his phone number, asking her to look for him if anything happened. His daughter was quite good-looking. It would be a pity if something happened to her. After that, looking at the note, Bei Yunj smiled. Then she put it in her pocket and walked to the chemical plant. As for Ji Yiqing, who was left behind, he had to use his connections to find out that Bei Yunj was heading in the direction of the chemical plant. What a disgrace. I'm in an SUV, but I was left behind by that shabby-looking taxi. Ahui gritted his teeth. Ji Yiqing ignored him and went into the chemical plant after getting out of the car. At the chemical plant, Bei Yunj saw the chains on the rusty iron gate. She smiled slightly and then pulled it down casually. Then she walked into the chemical plant. However, when Bei Yunj stepped into the chemical plant, 7 or 8 young men appeared. Seeing this, Bei Yunj smiled even more brightly and lazily. The hand holding the chain directly locked the iron door. Lin Jiannan and the others couldn't help but sneer at his actions. You've got guts coming here alone. Instead of running, you even locked the door? Aren't we afraid that you'll run away? Bei Yunji's eyes curved into crescents. Her beautiful eyes were filled with undisguised arrogance. Hearing this, several people laughed out loud. Brother Nan, your niece is so pretty. Don't try anything funny. We've already kidnapped them. Just get the ransom and don't provoke the Qin family. Lin Jiannan was still afraid of the Qin family. It's okay to take a few nude photos, right? Otherwise, why would the Qin clan be afraid? Several young men stared fixedly at Bei Yunji with greedy eyes. Where is Grandma? Bei Yunji walked over and saw more than a dozen beer bottles on the ground, but there was no one else around. If you go back with me obediently, you'll be able to see that old thing. Lin Jiannan stared at her gloomily. Otherwise, don't blame me for letting you down. Did you lie to me on purpose? No one noticed that Bei Yunji's tone had lost its warmth. So what? Come with me obediently to take a video and let your brothers come and save you. After Lin Jiannan finished speaking, he ordered his men to catch Bei Yunji. However, who thought that Bei Yunji would grab the person's hand? She looked at him playfully and laughed. The next moment, the sound of a broken arm was heard. The atmosphere on the field suddenly became bone-chilling. Chapter 329. The painful howls of their companions made their scalps go numb. They had no time to hide their savage expressions. However, the girl in front of them was still smiling beautifully, but she did not hide the coldness in her voice. You found a good place. There are no cameras. Bei Yunji grabbed the young man's hair and walked slowly toward them. This scene caused a layer of goosebumps to rise all over everyone's body. Didn't Lin Jiannan say that Bei Yunji was timid and would be bullied every day? She was like a living Azura. Which bear's heart and leopard's guts would dare to bully her every day? However, after Lin Jiannan came back to his senses, anger rose in his heart. This good-for-nothing actually dared to hit him? Bei Yunji, you're capable, aren't you? Now I'll teach you a lesson. Lin Jiannan picked up the metal pipe in his hand and walked toward Bei Yunji with a ferocious expression. At this moment, Ji Yiqing, who had rushed over, happened to see this scene. However, before he could do anything, the two of them saw Bei Yunji grab the metal pipe that was swinging towards her and kick that person's abdomen ruthlessly with her knee. Even they, who were outside, could hear the dull sound of the collision clearly. This scene was too horrifying. Brother Ji Shishi. Ai Hui could not recover from the shock. Ji Yiqing did not speak. Bei Yunji had already stepped on Lin Jiannan's head. The playfulness and coldness in her eyes sent chills down the spines of the others. Uncle Jiannan, are you going to tell me? Bei Yunji smiled gently, but her eyes were arrogant and unruly. The surrounding people almost wanted to climb out of the door and run away. Lin Jiannan was Bei Yunji's uncle after all. If they were in her shoes, their skulls would have been cracked by her. You're treating me like this. If my mother finds out. Before Lin Jiannan could finish speaking, Bei Yunji kicked him in the back. He rolled back 1 to 2 meters. The scene was too horrifying. You still want to complain? Bei Yunji took out a small knife from his pocket and smiled. So I shouldn't keep you here? Seeing the vicious look in Bei Yunji's eyes, the people around her became mute. Their legs trembled, and none of them dared to step forward. Usually they would scam people casually in the poor streets. When had they ever seen such a scene? Lin Jiannan couldn't help but scream when he felt the cold blade graze his face. Let me go. Let me go and I'll tell you where that damned old hag is. After saying this, the knife in Bei Yunji's hand had already slashed across his eyeball, pierced through his sleeve, and pinned it to the ground. The shadow that almost cut off his eyeballs made Lin Jiannan scream. The few people around them could not bear this terrifying scene any longer. They ran straight for the iron gate. How could money be more important than his life? The one from the Qin clan was clearly an evil spirit. Uncle, I'm sorry. I tore your clothes. Bei Yunji apologized slowly, making Lin Jiannan unable to withstand the pressure in his heart and burst into tears. Yunji, they tricked me into doing this. Don't be angry. Where's Grandma? She's in Mrs. Ning's hands. Mrs. Ning asked me to secretly kidnap my mother. She was the one who threatened me. Yunji, believe me. Lin Jiannan cried bitterly. But suddenly, with a sound, the lock of the iron gate in the distance was opened. Chapter 330. Bei Yunj looked at him from the corner of her eyes, and realized that he looked familiar. She seemed to have seen him last night. "Hello, Miss Pei." Ji Yiqing's lips curled up. His young and handsome face became gentler. He didn't look like someone from a war zone. Instead, he looked more like a scholar. Before Hui could mock him, Bei Yunj said slowly, "You must have spent a lot of time looking for me, right? How did you know?" Hui's eyes widened. He didn't expect Bei Yunj to discover them. In the past, even when they were investigating, very few people would discover them. However, the moment he finished speaking, Ji Yiqing, who was beside him, glanced at him coldly. Hui immediately shut his mouth. Sir, save me. This woman is crazy." Lin Jiannan became bolder when he saw Ji Yiqing. He looked at Bei Yunj with hatred. "This woman hit my brother, and now she wants to hit me. Look at the knife in her hand." Hui looked at Ji Yiqing and said, "Brother Ji, Bei Yunj is deliberately hurting you." Before he could finish speaking, Ji Yiqing took a step back and smiled leisurely. "Miss Pei, let's talk after you've settled your matter." Lin Jiannan was stunned when he heard this. Hui turned to look at Ji Yiqing in disbelief. "Brother Ji, this is against the rules. I'll accept my punishment when we get back." Ji Yiqing was nonchalant and didn't care at all. His main goal now was to find out who it was. It wasn't worth offending Bei Yunj for a hooligan. As long as no one died, she could do whatever she wanted. Hui opened his mouth, but nothing came out in the end. "Mr. Ji, you're quite smart." Bei Yunj smirked before her eyes landed lazily on Lin Jiannan. Lin Jiannan sank into fear. Before he could beg for mercy, a blood-curdling scream resounded throughout the chemical plant. It made one's scalp go numb. Even Hui was scared witless when he saw such a young lady being so ruthless. This is the last question. It's a race question. Only the first person to answer will be allowed to leave standing. Without waiting for the others to think, Bei Yunj asked unhurriedly, "Who was the one who posted the photos and stuff online?" Bei Yunj's smile did not reach her eyes. "Free to Hong Han. It's Hong Han. I saw him secretly calling Mrs. Ning." One of the smallest of them said without thinking. Bei Yunj glanced at the man, indicating that he could leave. When the others saw this scene, they were envious. "Miss Pei, I still have something to say. My account was the one they used to spread the news about me. I can go and clarify it." After the first person rushed to answer, there were immediately others who were unwilling to be left behind. "Miss Pei, the phone that Madame Ning used to contact Hong Han was the backup phone. You can check their phone numbers and find their records. Also, they transferred the money to Lin Jiannan's wife." Seeing that everyone had spilled the beans, even Hui could not react in time. "Sure enough, hooligans are afraid of bullies," Hui muttered. "Lin Jiannan and Hong Han can stay. The rest of you can get lost." After Bei Yunj finished speaking, the others fled like a swarm of bees. "Miss Pei, I was instructed to do this. Madame Ning asked me to instigate Lin Jiannan to kidnap Director Lin. She was also the one who wanted to ruin you." Chapter 331. Hong Han's emotions were unstable. Seeing how Bei Yunj had beaten Lin Jiannan up just now, he had a feeling that he would be the next person. "Didn't someone mention this just now?" Bei Yunj walked over and stepped on his hand, grinding it slowly. Her upturned eyes were filled with coldness. Even Huey's hand hurt when he saw this scene. This Miss Pei was really an evil spirit. "Bei Yunj. Miss Pei, I can bring you to Mrs. Ning." Hearing this, the corners of Bei Yunj's lips curled up and she finally stopped using force. "Sure. Don't think about running away, unless you don't want these legs anymore." These words made Hong Han heave a sigh of relief. No, that won't happen. It's my honor to work for Miss Pei." Hong Han carefully tried to please her. Mrs. Ning's methods were only superficial. Compared to this person who didn't even talk to you when fighting, she was simply too inferior. He would rather offend that old person than this young one. Soon, seeing that Bei Yunj had let everyone go and he was the only one left, Lin Jiannan was even more afraid. "Yunj, Without another word, Bei Yunj kicked his shoulder and Lin Jiannan rolled back. 50 million isn't even enough for you to spend, Uncle Jiannan? Bei Yunji's beautiful eyes became even brighter, but the coldness in her tone was terrifying. It's enough. It's enough, Yunj. Lin Jiannan was filled with regret. This 50 million was enough for him to live a carefree life. When Grandma comes back, I hope you'll disappear on your own accord. Do you understand? Bei Yunj took out a 50 yuan note and stuffed it into his chest pocket. She patted it lightly and her bright eyes curved. Otherwise, I'll chop off one of your fingers every time you and your wife come. How about that? Lin Jiannan was scared out of his wits. I understand. Do you have enough money? Bei Yunj asked with concern. Yes. It's enough. Lin Jiannan limped away with 50 yuan, which wasn't even enough for the taxi fare. After dealing with them, Bei Yunj finally remembered Ji Yiqing. Mr. Ji, why are you looking for me? Miss Pei, do you know him? After Ji Yiqing finished speaking, A Hui, who was beside him, blurted out, Impossible. Who are they? How could Bei Yunj know her? Bei Yunj was not angry. Instead, he glanced at Ai Hui and smiled. He's right. It's my fault for not teaching him well. Hearing Ji Yiqing's words, Ai Hui knew that he would be punished when he returned. If Mr. Ji really has something to say, you can ask Elder Zhong. There's nothing in this world that can't be done. After Bei Yunj finished speaking, she prepared to leave. Ai Hui could not help but say, That's easy for you to say. Ai Hui, go back and receive your punishment. You don't need to follow me for the rest of the month. Ji Yiqing glanced at him coldly and then caught up with Bei Yunj. Does Miss Pei know about high-tech murder? I don't know. I've seen a futuristic sci-fi movie before. There was a computer expert who could eavesdrop on other people's conversations through the fluctuations in a glass of water in a room. What do you think, Miss Pei? Actually, imagination itself is an existence that has yet to come. Bei Yunj said slowly. Then Miss Pei, do you think you can do it? Ji Yiqing stared at her. Bei Yunj stopped in her tracks and looked at him with a half-smile. I won't participate in any disputes. Chapter 332. Ai Hui pursed his lips, glanced at Ji Yiqing, and shut his mouth quietly. He glanced at Bei Yunj with disdain. What a joke. She was just a high school student who knew nothing. Yet she wanted to meddle in other people's affairs? In the past year and a half, I've taken on a case related to a criminal gang both at home and abroad. Their main source of income is human trafficking and some illegal supplies. Ji Yiqing told Bei Yunj everything without hesitation. Bei Yunj didn't say anything. He didn't know if she was listening, but Ji Yiqing continued to speak. Every time we sent a new spy, he would be found within 3 months. His corpse would be chopped up, packed in a box, and thrown in the square. Ji Yiqing's tone was indifferent, but he clenched his fists. The first spy was my best friend. After he was discovered, his wife and son were also taken away. From the video that they deliberately sent, I saw that he was tied up in an abandoned field and watched helplessly as his wife was humiliated and his son was thrown into a pulverizer. Bei Yunj glanced at him and wiped her hands. After a long time she said, So, you guys are very capable. She wasn't someone who would take it as her duty to save others. Some people's feelings for their country could be used to conquer mountains and seas. As for her, she was deeply involved in a mountain of daggers and a sea of flames. In her previous life, when Bei Yunj was young, her antisocial personality attracted the attention of the older generation. Therefore, they told Mother Pei to teach Bei Yunj well. Otherwise, not only would their family not produce a genius, but they might also produce a time bomb. After all, Bei Yunj's talent was very shocking since she was young. The Pei and Meng families couldn't commit such a sin. Hearing Bei Yunj's praise, Ji Yiqing laughed happily. Let me send Miss Pei back. It's hard to get a taxi here. Ji Yiqing added. Miss Pei, you don't have to guard against me. I understand some things. Who didn't want to live a stable life, and was willing to get involved in such a dangerous matter? Thank you. A trace of emotion flashed past Bei Yunj's eyes. She just smiled and gave Ji Yiqing an address. However, when Ji Yiqing heard this address, he subconsciously glanced at Bei Yunj. Isn't this where that person lives? Shidu came back very early today, but he did not expect to see Bei Yunj. Mr. Hua, the young lady is at the door. A friend sent her here. When Auntie Meow saw Bei Yunj and Ji Yiqing at the door, she walked in silently and said casually. The man's eyes darkened. He thought that it was one of Bei Yunj's friends from school. But when he walked over to take a look, he didn't expect to see an old acquaintance. At the door, Ji Yiqing's gaze had been fixed on Bei Yunj. He lowered his head and spoke to the girl, his eyes filled with tenderness. As for the beautiful girl, she was as lively and unruly as ever. For some reason, it made people feel that it was somewhat of an eyesore. Huashidu stood not far away. His gaze landed on them without avoiding them as he watched this scene lazily. This was the first time he saw the young master of the Ji family smile so gently at a girl. Master Du, long time no see. Ji Yiqing wanted to greet Huashidu, but in the next moment he heard the man ask casually, "Didn't we just meet last night?" Ji Yiqing. Why did he feel that the atmosphere was strange? Where did Yunyan go? Why did you ask your elders to send you back? Huashidu turned around and looked at Bei Yunj. Ji Yiqing smiled again and said, "What kind of elder brother is he?" Chapter 333. With that said, Bei Yunj thought of the etiquette that Huashidu attached great importance to and turned to look at Ji Yiqing. "Brother Yiqing, thank you for sending me back today." "You're welcome." This Brother Yiqing made Ji Yiqing's body stiffen before he smiled. On the other hand, the man who had been looking at Ji Yiqing had his usual lazy and cold gaze turned deep. "Then I'll go upstairs first. I'll treat you to a meal when I'm free." With that said, Bei Yunj went in. However, Huashidu remembered that she had said the same thing when he met this child for the second time. Speaking of which, it was probably Ji Yiqing's second time meeting this child. "Master Du, does Yunj usually stay at your house?" Ji Yiqing was still looking at the living room, his tone casual. Huashidu's fingertips flicked the silver lighter casually. His handsome and dignified eyes looked lazy and casual. "Why? She doesn't stay in the Qin family?" Ji Yiqing seemed to be overly concerned about Bei Yunj as he muttered to himself. "This little girl isn't like the rumors at all. Instead, she always makes people unable to take their eyes off her. Young Master Ji is very interested in Yunyan?" Huashidu looked up, his tone emotionless. Hearing this, Ji Yiqing was about to nod when he felt Huashidu's cold gaze. Ji Yiqing was speechless. What was going on? Within moments, Ji Yiqing laughed involuntarily. "Master Du, what are you worried about?" "Ji Yiqing, you're not young anymore," Huashidu said slowly. Ji Yiqing understood what Huashidu meant. He forgot to clarify and said seriously, "Let's see, I'm only 5 or 6 years older than Yunj. Is the age difference big?" "So you like Yunyan?" Huashidu's eyes gradually darkened. "Master Du, don't look like you want to kill me." Ji Yiqing pressed between his eyebrows. "Yunj will get married sooner or later. Master Du, why are you so jealous?" Hearing this, Huashidu's fingers stopped moving. "What did you say?" "I said sooner or later, Yunj." Before Ji Yiqing could finish speaking, he suddenly realized something. "Master Du, could it be that he liked this girl?" "Are you?" A thought flashed through Ji Yiqing's mind when he saw the man frowning slightly. A playful look flashed past his eyes. "Master Du, I'm actually not that bad, am I? I'm good-looking and good-tempered, and I've never had a girlfriend. I don't have any bad habits. Moreover, if the Qin family and the Ji family can unite through marriage, the Qin family won't lose out." Ji Yiqing. Huashidu looked at him. An unknown emotion spread out, and there was an indescribable danger in his eyes. For the first time in more than 20 years, Huashidu, who had always been calm and at ease, disliked someone so much. This was also the first time he had the desire to fight. When Ji Yiqing saw this, he was also stunned for a moment before he smiled and said, "Master Du, do you want to see how scary you look now?" He walked closer to Huashidu and his smile deepened. "This is the first time I've seen you like this. Master Du, it's quite rare." Huashidu restrained the dangerous look in his eyes. He also felt that his reaction was too unreasonable. Not long after, Huashidu roughly understood why. Because of the little girl who had just entered. And all his unreasonable emotions at this moment came from his possessiveness. The little girl that Master Du likes doesn't look ordinary either. But if Master Du doesn't chase after her, I want to try too. Chapter 334. I won't send you off. Take care, young Master Ji. The man's gaze was indifferent, but there was an inexplicable aggressiveness in his eyes that exuded a sense of oppression. Ji Yiqing ignored the man's expression and continued to ask with a smile. So fast? Can't we chat more? As soon as he finished speaking, before Huashidu could speak, he heard a voice upstairs. Ji Yiqing. Huashidu frowned without batting an eyelid. Seeing this, the smile on Ji Yiqing's lips deepened. Master Du, look, I can't leave yet. These words sounded different in the man's ears. It was as if Ji Yiqing was deliberately provoking him. At this moment, Bei Yunj walked down and said directly, Can you leave your contact details? Okay, I'll be waiting for your orders, Miss Pei. Ji Yiqing smiled gently, but his gaze was discreetly sizing up the neglected man beside him. Bei Yunj's eyes moved. You can look for me if you need anything. With that, she turned and went upstairs. Seeing Bei Yunj leave, Ji Yiqing laughed again. Before he could speak, he heard Huashidu say coldly, Ji Yiqing, don't cause trouble for yourself. Master Du, Miss Pei is an adult and doesn't have a boyfriend. Ji Yiqing felt that Huashidu could drag him out and beat him up at any time. So what? Huashidu sneered. I don't mind waiting for Miss Pei for another 2 years, Ji Yiqing insisted fearlessly. But as soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere suddenly became silent. After a long while, just when Ji Yiqing thought that Huashidu would ignore him, he saw him light a cigarette and his tone was calm and fearless. Who dares to touch my child in Yincheng? Bei Yunj found Mrs. Ning's information. However, when she saw the photo of Mrs. Ning's son, she was surprised to find that this was the person who had caused a ruckus at her birthday party because of Qin Youjiao. Bei Yunj's lips curled up slightly, but the temperature in her eyes turned colder. So that was the case. Bei Yunj restrained the light in her eyes and slowly searched for information about this young Master Ning. When it was time for dinner, Bei Yunj went downstairs. Miss Pei, the gentleman who sent you here today is also very handsome. Auntie Miao smiled happily. He's a friend. Brother knows him too. Bei Yunj glanced at Huashidu and remembered that she had not spoken to Huashidu much today. For a while, Bei Yunj couldn't find a topic to talk about. Suddenly, Bei Yunj asked casually, Brother, how did you know Ji Yiqing? Upon hearing that Bei Yunj's first sentence today was to ask about Ji Yiqing, Huashidu's gaze deepened. A family friend. On the surface, he still spoke casually. Bei Yunj forced herself to continue the conversation. He's not bad. Is that so? Huashidu raised his eyebrows and his gaze landed on Bei Yunj. He asked casually, Does Yun like this? He's all right. He's quite tactful. Bei Yunj changed the topic and changed the description. Gentle. However, she did not notice that the eyes of the man sitting beside her had darkened. Huashidu stared straight at Bei Yunj in front of him. He thought of how this young lady had gone overboard last night, and her attitude towards Ji Yiqing today. He subconsciously licked the tip of his itchy teeth and chuckled softly. I couldn't tell that Yun likes so many types. At this moment, Bei Yunj could sense the danger in the man's tone. Chapter 335. Brother, what's wrong with you today? Bei Yunj felt that something was wrong with Huashidu. It's nothing. I'm thinking about something. Huashidu's gaze swept past Bei Yunj. The young lady's liking was indeed like a gust of wind. It disappeared after it blew. She had secretly kissed him last night, but today, she felt that Ji Yiqing was gentle. I see. Bei Yunj nodded in understanding. Coincidentally, someone had sent her a message. She glanced at it. It was Du Xiao asking her to consider the International Musicians Association. Bei Yunj replied without thinking. Sure. At this moment, Du Xiao, who was still waiting in the hotel in the city center, had his eyes light up. This trip to Yincheng was indeed not in vain. The next morning, the International Musicians Association posted a public announcement online. To celebrate, the International Musicians Association welcomed the first musician from country A. The International Musicians Association would decide to open up 2 more spots to country A. The moment this news was released, the entire internet went viral. Hashtag the first member of the International Musicians Association in country A hashtag made the headlines. What immortal? Am I dreaming? The first member of the International Musicians Association from country A? Don't you think that the name of the first member from country A looks a little familiar? Yun. F***CK, isn't this Yu Manran's composer? A big shot who suddenly appeared. So, how did Yu Manran get the big shot to compose for her? How can a pop singer's composer be considered a serious musician? The person above is really ignorant. Do you know how many famous overseas musicians have taken Yun's score? Soon, because Yun made the headlines, Yu Manran's song also received dividends and continued to dominate the music app. After that, everyone also realized that because of the sudden recruitment of the International Musicians Association, many people went to listen to Yun's song. In the end, all of them became fans. They even took first place on the foreign music charts. It received great praise. And this sudden good luck was thrown directly at Yu Manran. Naturally, a large number of singers were jealous. They all wanted to use their connections to dig out some information about Yun. But after digging around, they realized that other than writing songs for Yu Manran, this Yun did not have any other connections. In the piano room, Qin Yojiao was halfway through her piano practice when someone called her. Her hand paused as she realized who the caller might be. She stood up quietly and answered the call. She stood by the window and asked, "Why are you calling me at this time? If you don't call now, I'm afraid Miss Qin will forget who got you the invitation to the Nearly 18 debutante ball." Qin Yojiao clenched her fists and said with a smile, "How can that be? Yojiao, I know very well in my heart why I want to help you, don't I?" That person also laughed. "I know that you're targeting the Qin family. But my mother is also Mrs. Qin." Qin Yojiao clenched her fists as a struggle appeared in her eyes. Everyone in the Qin family treated her badly, but Mrs. Qin treated her as her biological daughter. If she really helped this person, how disappointed would Mrs. Qin be in her? Are you sure that blood relations are really not important? The more upper class a family is, the more they value the purity of their bloodline. That person smiled. For example, in our family, the son of a mistress is only an illegitimate son no matter how capable he is. It's impossible for him to inherit the family business. Yojiao, I have plenty of ways to make you the one and only eldest young miss of the Qin family. P.S. Be good and remember the monthly recommendation ticket. Chapter 336. These words made Qin Yojiao's heart skip a beat. Could he really make Bai Yunj leave the Qin family? Your 3 brothers will only dote on you like before. Yojiao, don't you want that? Qin Yojiao bit her lip as hatred flashed past her eyes. She wanted to. If it wasn't for Bai Yunj, she wouldn't have been chased out like a stray dog. Yojiao, and we can become very good friends. That person guided her patiently. How about this? I'll give you a membership spot in the International Musicians Association as my first gift to you. How about that? Qin Yojiao froze. She already knew that this person had a noble status and was not someone the Qin family could compare to. However, she never thought that this person would be able to get her a spot in both the Nearly 18 debutante ball and the International Musicians Association. Can I really do that? Qin Yojiao asked tentatively. That person laughed, his voice as pleasant as a silver bell as he asked casually, "Why not?" Ungda. Bai Yunj glanced at the message Du Xiao had sent. "Yunj, how about you be the chief examiner for Country A's recruitment this time?" Bai Yunj's eyebrows twitched and she rejected him directly. "I'm not free." Soon, Du Xiao immediately persuaded her. "Yunj, you've just arrived. I have to give you some authority. This recruitment review isn't troublesome. Other than you, there are 2 other members who will assist you. They won't make you too tired. If you come and help, we don't have to pay the membership fees in the future, okay?" When he sent the last sentence, Du Xiao felt that Yu Manran was cheating him. It was just a membership fee of 10 to 20,000 yuan. Why would Bai Yunj care? But very quickly, Du Xiao saw that person's reply. Sure. Du Xiao was speechless. As a big boss, didn't she need at least some face? Class 1-inch, what's going on today? Qin Yojiao seems to have been in the piano room and hasn't come out much. I heard it's for the International Musicians Association, someone said. Hearing this, many people in the class were confused. International Musicians Association? What's that? Soon someone explained. Only a handful of well-known musicians can enter the International Musicians Association. What's the use of being a musician? Isn't he just playing piano for others? Hearing this, the girl next to him said disdainfully. However, soon, some people rolled their eyes. He sneered. Ignorant. The most important benefit of the International Musicians Association is to gather connections. As a member of the International Musicians Association, do you know how many big shots from various countries you can get to know? Moreover, for these big shots, the International Musicians Association is also an important network of connections. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. Hearing this explanation, everyone suddenly understood why so many people in the country were so excited when the first member of Country A appeared. Moreover, because of that member's participation this time, the International Musicians Association had also given 2 additional slots. It was as if Country A was being loved on account of the same thing. Then wouldn't the composer of You Man Ran be overjoyed? Someone asked enviously. The International Musicians Association started to say last month that they wanted to recruit a new member, but it was only today that they officially announced that it was YUN. The internet speculates that the International Musicians Association may have dug for more than a month before they managed to find her. With that said, everyone seemed to understand why the International Musicians Association was so happy that they were so happy to give 2 additional slots to Country A. It turned out that they had gone through a lot of trouble to poach her. Then Qin Youjiao is too lucky. If she gets this opportunity, won't she be the youngest member of the International Musicians Association? Chapter 337. You think too highly of Qin Youjiao. Is it so easy to enter the International Musicians Association? Someone could not help laughing. All the works of the International Musicians Association are left in the textbooks. What works can she have? Didn't YUN get in too? The boy in the class who liked Qin Youjiao could not help retorting. How can she compare to YUN? Before the 2 of them could start arguing, someone beside them said softly, My friend in our nation said that their Ministry of Education is indeed buying Yun's copyright. It was just that they had not agreed to sell it yet. Hearing this, everyone could not help but fall silent. Our nation was buying the copyright of their country's song? This was really a series of events in their lifetime. No wonder the International Musicians Association was so anxious to poach her. I really want to know who YUN is. It's like she appeared out of thin air. Do you remember that in the past, Yu Manran was at most a B-list celebrity? Once he collaborated with YUN, he immediately became a popular A-list celebrity. There's a reason for this. Some people started their piano tour at the age of 18 and didn't cause much trouble. These words happened to be heard by Qin Youjiao, who had just walked in. The gloominess in her eyes disappeared. She clenched her fists tightly, her nails digging into her flesh. It was that YUN again. Suddenly, Qin Youjiao remembered what Yu Manran had told her last time. That person was about her age. If Yu Manran wasn't lying to her, wouldn't she become a joke when YUN appeared in front of everyone one day? At this thought, Qin Youjiao's face paled and her body trembled slightly. No. She would never allow this to happen. Qin Youjiao pushed open the door and walked to her seat with a cold expression. The girl who had mocked Qin Youjiao behind her back was so frightened that her face paled, and she didn't dare to say anything. The entire classroom was silent and awkward. Qin Youjiao sat in her seat and sent a message to that person. Help me get Yun's new score and I'll do anything for you, okay? When she typed this message, Qin Youjiao's hands were trembling. She didn't want to do such a thing, but she didn't want to become a laughing stock either. It's not difficult, but why do you want her score? Qin Youjiao gritted her teeth and sent another message. I want to destroy her. Only in this way could she continue to be a proud girl in everyone's eyes, a young pianist. Okay, then remember what you promised me. Seeing this message, Qin Youjiao heaved a sigh of relief, but unconsciously, a thin layer of sweat covered her forehead. Qin Corporation. President Qin, this bouquet of black roses is here again, Secretary Qian said cautiously. As expected. When Qin Luyan heard that, a cold glint flashed across his eyes. The low pressure around him made it hard for him to breathe. However, this flower delivery woman was like a lunatic. She would send a bouquet of black roses every day. Regardless of whether she rejected it or not, there would always be a bouquet of black roses at the front desk the next day. Throw it away. Qin Luyan suppressed the hostility in his eyes. His eyes were still arrogant and handsome. This woman was still as disgusting as she had been in her previous life. President Qin, do we really not need to investigate? Is there a need to investigate a lunatic? Qin Luyan's tone was cold, but the veins on the back of his hand were popping out. In his previous life, it was because of this woman that the Qin family was ruined. This time, no matter what, he would make her pay the price. During this period of time, the Qin Corporation had expanded crazily and was already very eye-catching. Even the woman far away in our country had noticed it. P.S. Today, chapters 9 to 12. Remember to vote every month. Chapter 338. How could she not tell that Qin Luyan was already on guard against her? However, as long as Qin Youjiao could be used by her, she would always have a trump card. In the Ning family. Do you mean that the Qin family's daughter, who went back, really came to look for you? Mrs. Ning snorted. I really didn't expect Lin Longjun to raise such a filial child. That's right. Yesterday afternoon, my brothers and I wanted to kidnap Bai Yunj, but we didn't expect. That person's expression was ugly. Thinking of what happened yesterday, he was traumatized. She didn't even leave Lin Jianan any face and stepped on him. Just thinking about that scene made his scalp turn numb. Hearing this, Madame Ning's action of picking up the Persian cat stopped. Then she walked towards the sofa and sneered. How ruthless. However, Lin Longjun is still in my hands now, so she can't cause any trouble. Madam, she should come to look for you in the next 2 days. Mrs. Ning's tone was sarcastic and contemptuous. She's not coming to look for me. She's coming to beg me. She was waiting for Lin Longjun's granddaughter to come to her door and beg her. Then, she would let Lin Longjun see with her own eyes how she tortured Bai Yunj. At noon, Bai Yunj received the information from Si Chunyan. You want me to do such a thing for you? What a sin. Take a look. Is it complete? Bai Yunj smirked. After receiving the information, she quickly replied to Si Qingyan. Thank you. I'll help you look at the project on Friday. Then Bai Yunj flipped through the information about the Ning family. The playfulness on her lips deepened, but the smile did not reach her eyes. After a while, she edited a copy of the information and sent it to Yu Manran. Then, she sent a message slowly. Do you have time to help me? This piece of information needs some exposure. In less than a minute. Man, arrange it. Mu. Until the afternoon. The news about the Ning family had completely entered everyone's field of vision. Regardless of whether it was the fact that the Ning family had close contact with the retired senior officials in order to gain a foothold in the country, or the fact that the only young master of the Ning family had taken drugs outside 2 years ago, and was left unsettled in the end, it had caused a huge sensation. The Ning family is really a big melon. My friend is young Master Ning's classmate. In the past, in order to pursue a girl, he pushed her boyfriend down from the 2nd floor and broke his leg. In the end, nothing happened. It's really not strange that he would do such a thing. F***CK, the Ning family is relying on their wealth to raise their son like the crown prince? Why didn't he think about it? Would it be his son's turn to be the crown prince of Yin City? Let me tell you something. A few days ago, something happened to Director Lin. Looking at the time, it happened to be when the Ning family went public. A worker died in an accident. The news was suppressed just like that. Smile. What kind of juicy news is that? I'd like to ask, has anyone here eaten melons from Madame Ning and Dean Lin? Back then, Ning Tai liked Director Lin's husband and used all kinds of methods, but in the end he just didn't like her. So that's how it is. No wonder Academy head Lin has been criticized recently. My father used to be a student of the Lin Academy. He said that the photo of the adulterer in bed is indeed true. But the matter is very complicated. Back then, Academy head Lin's husband liked Madame Ning and looked down on Academy head Lin's family background, so he refused to let Academy head Lin marry into the family. In the end, Academy head Lin's husband came and stole the household register. He took Academy head Lin to get the marriage certificate and even hid it from everyone. Madame Ning claimed to be his fiancée, and caught her fiancé stealing the forbidden fruit. In the end he drove the car. Damn, the hidden marriages of that era are really exciting, doghead. Chapter 339. My mom told me about this yesterday. Dr. Lin's husband seems to have been pursuing Dr. Lin since high school. It wasn't easy for Dr. Lin to agree. How could she listen to her family's arrangement? Moreover, Dr. Lin was young, beautiful, and talented back then. She was very popular. If you don't put in some effort to get a marriage certificate first, she will be abducted, doghead. Yes, I remember that in her second year of teaching, Dr. Lin won an international prize in biology. Her in-laws were so shocked that they didn't dare to continue to show their displeasure. Or is Dr. Lin too low-key that people look down on her? Ha 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 ha, is this reflected in reality? Boo-hoo, I knew it. Dr. Lin is so good. It's impossible for her to do such a thing. Soon. Some of the positive comments about Dr. Lin were liked by several old professors of Yuncheng University, which was equivalent to confirming that this matter was true. Suddenly, those who had said negative things about Dr. Lin seemed to have disappeared without a trace. At this moment, Mrs. Ning, who had been called by countless people to express their sympathy, only knew that such a thing had actually happened on the internet. She fell into a state of anxiety, and her expression was ugly. How could this be? Mrs. Ning gritted her teeth and stared at the reports on the internet, as well as the clarification about Dr. Lin. Suddenly, she felt as if there was a mouthful of blood stuck in her throat. How could such a thing happen? Lin Longjun should be the one who was despised by everyone. How could it be her? Just as Mrs. Ning felt cold all over and fell to the ground with a hollow gaze, a pair of black leather shoes suddenly appeared in front of her. Looking up, she saw slender white legs, a simple cut paper school skirt, and an unbelievably beautiful face. At this moment, the eyes looked at her with a faint smile. She squatted leisurely and looked at her playfully. Mrs. Ning, it's the first time we met. My name is Bai Yunch. Mrs. Ning lost her composure and took a step back. It's you. You must have done it. Gradually, Mrs. Ning's expression became fierce. The corners of Bai Yunch's lips curled up as she threw another USB flash drive to her. Post the statement inside online today. What is this? To clarify Dr. Lin, Bai Yunch curled her lips and said in a casual tone, full of arrogance. Don't even think about it. Mrs. Ning's eyes widened, and she wanted to throw the USB flash drive out again. But in the next moment, Bai Yunch threw a stack of photos in front of her. She smiled condescendingly. Madam Ning, think about it carefully. Are you going to send it, or am I? At this moment, Mrs. Ning lowered her head and saw her son intertwined with a man or a woman in the photo. The scene almost made Madam Ning faint. This is fake. You lied to me. Madam Ning's eyes were bloodshot. Whether it's fake or not, won't we know once we let everyone take a look? Bai Yunch smirked, and her clear voice was full of coldness. Last time, young Master Ning came to my birthday party to make trouble. This time, we can settle old and new debts together. No. No way. Madam Ning became agitated. She immediately pulled on Bai Yunch's sleeve and shook her head frantically. Don't send it out. I am willing to clarify. Miss Pei, please spare me. Okay? Lin Jiannan and Bai Yunch, who were waiting at the door, saw how Madam Ning lost her composure and knelt in front of Bai Yunch. This was the real devil. Gah. Dr. Lin was weak. She didn't expect to see Bai Yunch in the basement. Chapter 340. Gur, why are you here? Director Lin's pupils constricted, thinking that Mrs. Ning had kidnapped her. Leave quickly, Gur, don't worry about me. Bai Yunch saw that Director Lin was drenched and the basement was cold. She knew that Mrs. Ning had done this on purpose. A trace of coldness flashed past her eyes, and she covered Director Lin with the thin blanket she had brought, and helped her up. Her voice was gentle. Grandma, I'll take you home. As soon as the Ning family's matter was exposed, someone started to investigate. Apart from the things that had been exposed recently, the Ning family had also participated in many shocking and absurd transactions. As a result, the Ning Corporation had completely collapsed. During this period of time, Qin Youjiao was also focused on practicing the piano. She wanted to enter the International Musicians Association in one go and let the Qin family discover her value again. Yo Jiao, I brought you something to drink. Cheng Zihuai took the milk tea and placed it beside Qin Yojiao's table. Thank you. After Qin Yojiao took it, she only took a sip and left it untouched. She said with a smile, "You're first in this monthly exam again. I heard from my teacher that you might be the top scholar in the city next year." Cheng Zihuai smiled. Compared to being the top scholar in the city next year, I hope that I can win the Domestic Computing Award this year. I believe in you, Zihuai. In the future, you'll go to the computing department of Yin University, and I'll go to the music department of Yin University. At this point, Qin Yojiao deliberately smiled at Cheng Zihuai. I wonder what university Yunj will want to study in. Can she get into university with how she looks? Cheng Zihuai's tone was mocking. I also heard that Yunj signed up for this physics competition and participated with us. Maybe she's studying hard. Hearing Qin Yojiao say this, the ridicule in Cheng Zihuai's eyes deepened. Yojiao, people who work hard are not like this. People like Bei Yunj just want to be noticed. But in the end, she only made a fool of herself. She's different from us. She can only roll in the mud. Hearing Cheng Zihuai say this, Qin Yojiao's hand on the piano relaxed. She was also afraid that the Cheng family would favor Bei Yunj more, because of what happened at the birthday party last time. Fortunately, since Cheng Zihuai hated Bei Yunj so much, Bei Yunj had no right to fight with her. But that's good too. When the results of this competition are out, it's time to let your brothers see who's the real Qin family member. A dark look flashed across Qin Yojiao's eyes when she heard Cheng Zihuai's words. She smiled and said, Zihuai, let me show you my original song from the International Musicians Association. Sure. Early morning. Bei Yunj saw the news from Tich and Jasmine. The two of them had won the gold and silver medals of the Shunga International Computing Competition, so he was in a good mood. Although the Shunga International Computer Competition was not as prestigious as the Busako Award in the computer industry, it was still quite valuable. The fact that Jasmine and Tich could win such an award at such a young age showed their potential. When she went downstairs, Bei Yunj suddenly thought of something and opened a group chat for the first time. This group chat was actually a chat software created by Marcus. It was filled with members of the Computing Institute and our nation's Computing Institute. Soon, everyone in the group chat received a large wave of red packets. Red packet congratulations. Red packet congratulations. Red packet congratulations. Everyone was speechless. Chapter 341. He was out. What was going on? Without hesitation, those who were fast had already gone to receive the red packets. Because Marcus did not set the amount when he made the software back then, everyone was so scared that their legs almost turned to jelly when they saw that the red packets they received were all in the thousands. He had sent more than 10 red packets, and each red packet was worth hundreds of thousands. Wasn't he 2F** King generous? So, in the hearts of the two members of the Big Boss Computing Institute, they could not help but add a suffix. God of Fortune. Soon Marcus came out. Marcus, God of Fortune, what's wrong with you? It's nothing. I'm just happy that a student won an award. Marcus, who saw the message, was speechless. Just now, Tich and Jasmine had been crying and complaining to him that their teacher was too strict. After receiving the award, their teacher had only replied with a, "Yes, I understand," in a cold and elegant manner, as if it was something very normal. In the end, she was a fanatic behind his back. Unfortunately, as interns, Tich and Jasmine could not enter the group chat yet. Marcus resisted the urge to take a screenshot and send it to Tich and the rest. From the corner of his eye, he realized that there were too many red packets, and they had not been collected. So in the next moment, his fingers slipped, and he snatched the red packets together. He completely forgot about Tich and Jasmine, who were still immersed in grief. Bei Yunj went downstairs, and was about to go out before she had breakfast. Yun, have breakfast first. Huashidu had a feeling that this little girl had been a little busy recently. Even at home, she was nowhere to be seen. Brother, I have something on. The moment Bei Yunj finished speaking, another voice suddenly sounded from the door. Yunj, are you ready to leave? Bei Yunj turned around and saw that it was Ji Yiqing. Why was he here? Bei Yunj furrowed her eyebrows. Elder Zhong asked me to pick you up, Ji Yiqing said with a smile. Hearing this, Bei Yunj understood. Uncle Zhong, who often picked her up recently, had something on, so he asked Elder Zhong to arrange for someone to pick her up. However, she did not expect Elder Zhong to ask Ji Yiqing to come over. I have to eat breakfast first. Bei Yunj looked at Huashidu and thought for a while before speaking again. That's just nice. I haven't eaten with Master Du for a long time. At this moment, Ji Yiqing looked like someone who couldn't read other people's expressions. Although Bei Yunj knew that Huashidu and Ji Yiqing were old acquaintances, she could feel that Huashidu didn't seem to want to see Ji Yiqing that much. But since she was here, there was no reason for Ji Yiqing to wait outside. Brother, do you think? Bei Yunj looked at Huashidu. Suddenly, Huashidu laughed and reached out to pinch the back of her neck affectionately. His tone was light as he said, Yunyun, go and eat first. Brother Yiqing is old and his waist is not very good. I'll get Aunt Meow to prepare some food for him to nourish his body. Ji Yiqing. He had injured his waist during a mission. What nonsense was Huashidu spouting? However, the next moment, Bei Yunj looked at him with more respect and pity. Then I'd better take a taxi. It's not good for my waist to drive for too long. Ji Yiqing's handsome face darkened. It's okay. I'll arrange a chauffeur for you later. The man's lazy and magnetic laughter sounded. Ji Yiqing put on a fake smile. The injury from the previous mission has already healed. Master Du, you don't have to worry so much. Is that so? I saw that the Ji family arranged a blind date for you. I thought that you were old and your waist couldn't recover, so I was preparing earlier. Chapter 342. Huashida's words made Ji Yiqing's reputation even worse. It was as if Ji Yiqing was trying to save face and refused to admit it. Bei Yunj's expression was clear, and she did not say much. Ji Yiqing put on a fake smile. In the past 2 years, the Hua family seems to have been busy with the selection of a young madam. Huashida's posture was light and lazy. He slowly poured a glass of milk for Bei Yunj, and looked at Ji Yiqing with a faint smile. Yes, young Master Ji, think about it. Why is that? For a moment, Ji Yiqing still did not understand what Huashida meant. After that, until Bei Yunj finished breakfast and was about to leave with Ji Yiqing. Brother, did I leave my rubber band in your room? The rubber band that Bei Yunj had been using these few days was new, but it had disappeared within 2 days. However, when Ji Yiqing heard this, he looked at Huashidu in surprise. He did not expect the two of them to be so close. Okay, come and get it yourself. Huashidu was holding a document in his hand. Actually, he could have gotten the rubber band for Bei Yunj, but Bei Yunj did not think too much about it. She walked over and reached into the man's suit pants pocket. However, after searching for a while, Bei Yunj changed to another one, but she could not find the rubber band. At this moment, the handsome and noble man stood there leisurely, allowing the girl to lower her head and touch his waist intimately. He was very indulgent. It looked ambiguous and intimate. However, Ji Yiqing saw the man's gaze fixed on him with a faint smile. Ji Yiqing was speechless. He wanted to scold him. What should he do? Yunyun, why are you touching him? Young Master Ji is still here. The man's magnetic voice deliberately dragged out the last syllable. It was light and ostentatious, making people blush and their hearts race. Ji Yiqing resisted the urge to scold him. Bei Yunj's eyes also moved slightly, not knowing what to say. Then before Bei Yunj could walk away, the man suddenly chuckled softly. His magnetic voice was slightly filled with a bewitching ambiguity. I'll get it for you. He took out a black rubber band from his suit pocket and slowly tied the girl's hair in front of Ji Yiqing. After you're done, Yunyun, come back early. I have something important to tell you. After getting out of the car, Ji Yiqing also completely understood why Huashidu wanted him to think about the reason why the Hua family no longer looked for young madam. Because now Huashida's family was raising one. What happened? Bei Yunj glanced at her wristwatch and confirmed that there was still time. Because the requirements for interns in Country R's Computing Institute were very strict, the system was different from the Computing Institute. The interns in the Computing Institute could vote and choose the instructor to give public lectures. Bei Yunj, on the other hand, became the most ideal mentor for the interns because of the huge patent fees and Marcus's high regard for her. Today, Bae-yunj was preparing to give these interns a public lecture. That was why she came over so early. It's fine. Ji-ching took a deep breath and experienced the difficulty of matchmaking. He looked at Bae-yunj. Do you come to the Computing Institute often? When Bae-yunj heard this, her hand, which was about to take out her identity card, paused and she silently retracted it. Occasionally. Bae-yunj put the identity card back into her pocket and stopped at the entrance to register before entering with Ji-ching. The security guard was puzzled. Why didn't Miss Pei use her pass today? Chapter 343. After entering the Computing Institute, Zhong Shenglin warmly pulled Ji-ching down and had a long talk with him. He used his eyes to signal Bae-yunj to leave quickly. Before Ji-ching could say anything, he turned around and realized that Bae-yunj was nowhere to be seen. Inspector, where is Miss Pei? She might have gone to water the flowers for me. Children nowadays are very patient. They like to help the elderly. Zhong Shenglin laughed heartily. Ji-ching's eyelids twitched, and he did not ask further. She specially came to the Computing Institute just to water the flowers? At this moment, Bae-yunj was indeed watering the flower buds of various countries. However, the flower buds that were being watered began to tremble. Everyone was happy and excited when they found out that the class was going to start today. They walked into the conference hall in high spirits. However, someone casually asked Tich what a typical teacher needed to prepare for class. Tich replied that he would be scolded. Everyone suddenly realized that this matter was not simple. If you think that the content is too simple, you can leave the conference hall. I don't want people to whisper to each other. Bae-yunj's clear voice did not have any warmth. Everyone had mixed feelings. The interns, who were considered outstanding newcomers, suddenly understood why Tich and Jasmine were so arrogant and frivolous when they first entered the Computing Institute. But now, they only knew how to hold a thermos, and often stood by the window with a face full of vicissitudes. Right now, looking at the entire scene, it seemed that only Tich and Jasmine could keep up with Bae-yunj's rhythm. As for the others, they had already started to kneel. As for the discussion just now, some people were secretly asking Tich what the teacher was talking about. The class ended in a thrilling manner. Jasmine and Tich gulped down a few mouthfuls of hot tea and a piece of American ginseng to refresh themselves. They relaxed completely. Seeing this skillful unified action, everyone was shocked. They were indeed the first and second in the institute. They were too persevering. If they attended a few more classes, they would be able to ascend to the heavens. Therefore, from this class onwards, the interns in the institute developed a shadow over Bae-yunj. Tich, are you guys always like this in class? Tich's numb and empty eyes gradually woke up. He said amiably, that's not it. Today's content is indeed simpler than before. Maybe it's because I don't want to make it difficult for you. The interns. Wasn't that difficult? Suddenly, everyone felt sorry for Tich and Jasmine. What kind of life were they living at the Calculation Institute? Some people could go out with their mentors to ride bicycles and drink to relax. Some people had to suck on a piece of American ginseng after class, as if they were hanging on by a thread. Why don't you all change teachers? He was very good. He was young and outstanding. But if he continued to follow, he would lose his life, right? It's okay, I can do it. I can prove to my teacher that I can. Tich waved his hand and focused on fighting Bae-yunj. Everyone. Sure, this was a case of one willing to hit and two willing to suffer. After class, Bae-yunj's good mood in the morning was completely gone. It just so happened that Marcus called. Gur, how was class? Are you happy? Bae-yunj. Marcus continued to ramble on and on. Following you to class is indeed very effective. Tich and Jasmine have really improved too much. Look, they even won the Shunga International Prize. Just a minute ago, Bae-yunj had even checked the Shunga International Prize. After confirming that it wasn't some random prize, he was relieved. P.S. There are at least 5 or 6 more chapters. Sleep early. Good night. Chapter 344. After all, she had specially sent a red packet to the group in the morning. Next time, don't look for me for this kind of public class. What's wrong? You're the number 1 chosen by the institute. You're a popular top instructor, Bei Yunj said casually. Tich and Jasmine are enough. Okay, as you wish. Of course Marcus would listen to Bei Yunj. Not long after hanging up the phone, Bei Yunj received a text message from Du Xiao. The registrar sent you a copy, but you don't have to worry about it. Just check the last 2 rounds. After all, more than 1,000 people had signed up this time. After the first round, only 200 people would be left. In the next few rounds, they would slowly filter them out. After Bei Yunj replied to Du Xiao, she saw Ji Yiqing in front of her. Hasn't that mission been going on for more than a year? Since it hasn't been settled yet, why are you still so free? Bei Yunj asked unhurriedly. The third comrade just went undercover into the gang's center yesterday. Ji Yiqing smiled and stared at her. I don't know why, but I feel safe with you, Bei Yunj said casually. Call me if you need anything. It's the same. So Miss Pei, you know him? Ji Yiqing looked at her with a smile. His intuition told him that Bei Yunj was related to him. But no one would think that an ignorant and incompetent high school student, and the one who had a patent fee of 10 billion yuan could be the same person. Whether I know him or not, there won't be any change in your perception. Bei Yunj changed the topic and asked as if she had nothing to do. Do you know how the first and second comrade were discovered? Ji Yiqing shook his head helplessly. The first comrade just entered the inner circle and died on the 3rd day. The other comrade also died about half a month ago. Bei Yunj stopped in her tracks and turned to look at him. The third comrade also entered the inner circle? Yes, he just entered last night. Ji Yiqing nodded. Bei Yunj quickly thought of something. She looked up and said, Ask him to come back immediately. Ji Yiqing was slightly stunned. Why? Did you implant the spy with a monitoring chip? Bei Yunj's question surprised Ji Yiqing. Yes. If he doesn't come back soon, you can prepare the 4th spy. Bei Yunj looked at him with a faint smile, but there was no warmth in his eyes. But our chips can't possibly be discovered. Ji Yiqing frowned. After all, no one had discovered it for so many years. If there isn't a mole in the R&D department, then it must be the chip. Bei Yunj smiled lazily. There are already 2. Whether there will be a 3rd one or not is up to you to decide. Ji Yiqing had also said that the gang seemed to have technicians supporting them from behind. Every time they reached a critical moment, they would know what they were doing in advance. In that case, it was also very likely that the spy had been spied. Let him come back now. Ji Yiqing's eyes darkened as he clenched his fists. The 2 people in front, have you performed an autopsy? Bei Yunj asked. Yes, the chip is also intact. Ji Yiqing nodded. Bei Yunj's eyes darkened. Let's perform an autopsy on the second one. Those people wouldn't be at ease to let a person jump around in their nest for half a month after knowing that he was a spy. However, whether Ji Yiqing could find any traces of them depended on luck. In the evening, Bei Yunj also left the Computing Institute. Chapter 345. Ji Yiqing's eyes darkened. He thought for a while and finally made a call. Brother Ji, what's wrong? Ahui was monitoring the internal situation of the gang with his colleagues through the monitoring chip. Ask Abao to come back. Now. Ahui was stunned. Why? Abao just went in. Ask him to come back quickly. Don't make me repeat the order a second time. Ji Yiqing's gaze was cold. Brother Ji, because of this case, you've been reprimanded by the higher-ups many times. We've already lost 2 brothers. If you ask Abao to come back now, won't you be a coward? Won't you be making a joke out of us? Ahui was unhappy, but he quickly thought of Bei Yunj. He could not help but say angrily, Did Bei Yunj say that? Brother Ji, who is that woman? Why do you have to listen? Ji Yiqing's tone was cold. Give the order again and ask the spy to come back. Those who disobey will be kicked out of this mission. Instantly, Ahui fell silent. The female colleague who heard it immediately gave the spy an order. After settling this matter, Ji Yiqing called the forensic doctor again and said in a gentle tone, Hello, I'm Ji Yiqing. Can I trouble you to do the autopsy again? Bei Yunj sat in the car and used her iPad to draw a human body. Finally, her gaze landed on the head and teeth. She moved the tip of her pen slightly and drew a circle on the head as she muttered to herself. Is it here? After getting out of the car, Bei Yunj saw that there was no one in the living room, and thought that she had come early, so she went upstairs to take a shower. However, she did not expect that just as she took off her clothes and was taking a shower in the bathroom, the man would push open the door and sit by the French window. The man with noble eyes was focused on the document in his hand. After a while, he noticed a faint movement. Someone was there? Huashidu frowned. The first person he thought of was Bei Yunj. Did this child forget that the bedroom had just been changed back yesterday? Just as Huashidu stood up and was about to walk over to take a look, he stopped in his tracks. He felt that it was better to leave the bedroom. But in the end, just as Huashidu turned around and was about to leave, a girl who was drenched all over and only had a white towel draped over her body as she dried her wet hair appeared. The towel was only casually draped over her body, partially covering the important parts of her body, but it made one's blood boil. In particular, the girl's figure was extremely good. Even her ankles made people feel sexy. For a moment, the two of them looked at each other. Bei Yunj's hand paused. She didn't scream, but her mind exploded. Huashidu was the first to react. He restrained the darkness in his eyes and quickly turned around. 1 or 2 seconds later, there was an almost imperceptible hoarseness and helplessness in the man's voice. "Why aren't you going back to get dressed?" He didn't expect that this young lady would dare to come out with only a towel. Bei Yunj calmly picked up the clothes and walked back. However, as soon as she returned to the bathroom, she realized that she had forgotten to take something very important. Bei Yunj. She glanced at the translucent top. Underneath it was a close-fitting spaghetti strap. She didn't think she could go next door like this. "Brother." Bei Yunj gently pushed open the bathroom door and called out tentatively. Huashidu, who was about to close the bedroom door, paused. "What's wrong?" "I forgot to take my clothes." Veins popped out on the back of Huashida's hand that was holding the door handle. His Adam's apple bobbed as he suppressed those thoughts that he shouldn't have. "What do you need?" Chapter 346. Underwear. Bei Yunj's voice also stiffened. When Huashida noticed it, he also found it funny. "You want all of them?" "Brah." After Bei Yunj finished speaking, she silently closed the bathroom door. But then she realized that as long as she went out to get a clean towel, changed her clothes and covered herself, it might not be as awkward as it was now. Bei Yunj. Forget it, she had already said it. So just as Bei Yunj was feeling relieved, she suddenly thought of the terrible scene of this man opening her closet and choosing a bra for her. She had really sinned. Bei Yunj suddenly felt a sense of guilt, as if she had touched the flower of a high mountain. But on second thought, she had also secretly kissed him. This sin seemed to have been committed a long time ago. Soon, just as Bei Yunj was letting her imagination run wild, there was a knock on the door. Yin. Bei Yunj opened the door from the inside and saw the man's slender hand reaching in with a black bra. This sharp color difference was dazzling. It was also inexplicably lustful. When Bei Yunj took it, she turned to look and saw the man's handsome side profile. He was dressed in a neatly tailored suit, looking refined and cold. However, it formed a strong contrast with this lustful and ambiguous atmosphere. He was like a god who had been pulled down from his altar. Bei Yunj narrowed her eyes. After taking the important item, she felt that it was hot to the touch. Especially when the man picked up the shoulder strap just now. "I'll go out first." "Okay." Bei Yunj immediately changed her clothes. At this moment, Huashidu, who had already closed the bedroom door, was no longer as lazy as usual. Just now, Huashidu stood at the door and called Auntie Meow. He had wanted Auntie Meow to come and get it for Bei Yunj. After all, this was a little girl's personal clothing. As a man, he should not touch it. However, he did not expect that Auntie Meow had just been called over by the old madam to discuss cooking. In the end, he could only go and get it himself. After more than 10 minutes, Huashida did not see Bei Yunj come downstairs. Then he received a message from her. "Brother, if there's anything important, let's talk tomorrow." Huashidu could not help but chuckle softly. His voice was filled with joy and was magnetic and pleasant to the ears. After that, he knocked on Bei Yunj's door and stood at the door with a casual smile. "Brother has something to do, so he has to go back to the company." Yin. Hurry up and go downstairs to eat. Bei Yunj. Are the communication tools invented by humans no longer useful? Did he have to come upstairs? 10 minutes later, Bei Yunj saw the voice message from Auntie Meow. She clicked on it without hesitation and heard Auntie Meow's hearty laughter. Miss, I'm so sorry. I forgot to take your measurements and make clothes for you. I didn't even know that your clothes are too small. Mr. Hua just called and asked me to bring someone to take your measurements. How about tomorrow afternoon? You're too small. His eyesight was really good. He could tell at a glance that it was small. Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes couldn't help but twitch, but her entire body froze. Was it too late to go out and strangle that dog of a man? The next day, back at Hengda. Master Pei, what's wrong? Why do you look like a little girl who has been bullied? Lu Yuanxi snatched her phone away and opened the maps of the gods. He said with fighting spirit, "Come, let's experience the most realistic life and death friendship." Not interested. Bei Yunj did not snatch the phone away. Instead, she sat down and leaned on the table, preparing to sleep. She did not sleep yesterday. It was either because of nightmares or because she could not sleep. Chapter 347. What's wrong? You've been acting weird these few days. Lu Yuanxi suddenly became kind and started to care about his deskmate. It's nothing. I just realized that it's not bad to get first place. Bei Yunj held her head and twirled her pen with her slender fingers in boredom. When Lu Yuanxi heard this, he looked at Bei Yunj with even more pity. Wasn't this too exciting? She was actually dreaming. Actually, it's not bad to be at the bottom. Their scores are real. And so is our friendship. Bei Yunj was speechless. Then, the boy behind couldn't help but laugh. Master Pei, don't think about getting first place. Think about what you're going to do for the physics competition this afternoon. This afternoon? Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. Yes. Oh right, you asked for leave the other day. The boy nodded. Lu Yuanxi smiled. Does our Master Pei care about when the exam is? Everyone is actively tutoring for the physics competition. This one skipped all classes in order to finish school on time. Bei Yunj glanced at Lu Yuanxi coldly, and turned to continue sleeping without saying a word. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. She really didn't even expect to cram at the last minute. Master Pei, it said that the physics competition started because of Leia. If you score in the single digits, you might make the headlines. Lu Yuanxi's eyelids twitched. He didn't forget about the monthly exam results that made the headlines. The public was too harsh on Bei Yunj. Just because she was the daughter of Director Lin, it was as if she should always get first place. Okay. Bei Yunj responded casually. It was unknown whether she was full of confidence or just in the mood to play. Leia, you'll definitely get first place in the physics competition this time. After all, you even got second place in the Raphael competition. No one can say for sure. Just do your best. Leia's bad mood improved a little in the face of so much attention. Some time ago, Maps of the Gods had terminated the contract with the Lei Corporation, and even announced the cooperation with the Qin Corporation. This matter, which was expected by the public, even made the headlines once. As for the Lei Corporation, it had become the shame of Maps of the Gods. Sister Yojiao, aren't you also participating in the competition? I look forward to it. Leia turned around and smiled coyly at Qinyu. At this moment, Qin Yojiao's hand that was flipping the book froze. She knew how strong Leia was in physics. Even Cheng Zihuai might not be able to compare to Leia. She smiled. You're an expert in this area. I can't compare to you. Seeing Qin Yojiao and Leia being humble to each other, the people around them could not help sighing. The relationship between the great gods is so harmonious. That's right. Anyway, isn't first place between the two of them and Cheng Zihuai? Damn, now that you've heard about it, this year's physics competition is too scary. All of them are gods. Suddenly, someone laughed sarcastically. Isn't that so? Anyway, Hengda has already reserved the first and last places. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone understood who he was referring to. Wasn't that the fearless immortal from Class 7? He didn't know where she got the courage to sign up. Did she think that the Qin family would buy her a ticket for this physics competition? At this moment, When the two people who were arguing in front heard the discussion behind them, their moods immediately improved. Yes, no matter what, they could watch Bai Yunj make a fool of herself. Sister Yojiao, do you still want to return to the Qin family? Leia suddenly asked. Chapter 348. Qin Yojiao put up the physics books and said to her with a smile, I heard that you went to see my grandfather a few days ago. When I'm free, I'll bring you back to the old mansion to stay for a few days. Leia did not expect Qin Yojiao to say this. It was as if she had just gone out casually and would return to the Qin family after a while. Can you still go back? Leia looked cold, but she was actually a little nervous. Compared to Qin Yojiao, she actually hoped that Bai Yunj was the Qin family's eldest young Miss Moore. After all, Bai Yunj did not pose any competitive pressure to her. However, Qin Yojiao was different. Even without the Qin family, she could still receive an invitation to the nearly 18 debutante ball. Some people can't hold on to that position, Qin Yojiao said. At noon, Ji Yiqing could not help but call Bai Yunj. After the call was connected, he quickly expressed his gratitude. Miss Pei, thank you so much this time. When the forensic doctor examined the deceased's head, he found a minimally invasive injury. He pursed his lips. Later, I found out that the piece of human skin had been transplanted. There was a chip inside that had already been scrapped. At that time, they hoped that the deceased could leave with dignity, so they did not conduct an in-depth examination. However, they did not expect to miss a major discovery because of this. Is the third person back? He's already back, but if he leaves for too long he will definitely be discovered. Ji Yiqing furrowed his eyebrows. Why don't we send the chip to the Computing Institute first? As for the third spy, the chip suggests that we remove him first. Ji Yiqing was also very hesitant. Actually, this chip was also a guarantee for the spy. If they found anything unusual, they could order them to be recalled at any time. I understand. Ji Yiqing clenched his fists and could not help asking, will you take a look at the chip? Elder Zhong will. With that said, Bai Yunj hung up. At this moment, Ahui was stunned. He did not expect that the spy had really been spied. This chip was almost certainly used by the criminals to monitor them. These people are too sinister. Ahui could not help gritting his teeth. However, he also wanted to know why the spy did not know that he had been implanted with a chip. Had he been instigated? That was impossible. If that was the case, why did the two spies die after being exposed? Ahui, be more respectful to Miss Bai Yunj in the future. Ji Yiqing couldn't help but say coldly when he recalled Ahui's attitude towards Bai Yunj. This time, it might just be a coincidence. Ahui could not help but retort. Coincidence? Why is it that out of so many people in this investigation operation, none of them are coincidental? I'm warning you, don't kill a few more people because of your loose tongue. Ji Yiqing was completely enraged, and the veins on his fair arms were faintly bulging. After all, the ones who left this time were Ji Yiqing's two friends. Ahui was also shocked and didn't dare to say anything more. In the afternoon, the people who signed up for the physics competition got on the school bus and prepared to leave for the competition venue. Along the way, someone couldn't help but laugh softly. Bai Yunj actually dared to come. She's too awesome. She's being praised by Class 7. She's really whimsical and thinks that she's a peerless genius. Someone snickered. Now that she's on the B-roll, I wonder if she can break the record and get the lowest score in history. The discussion on the bus continued all the way, and even the leading teacher's expression did not look too good. However, who knew that when they got off the bus, someone not far away exclaimed, Master Pei, what's wrong with you? Chapter 349. When everyone heard this, they turned around and saw a very young and handsome man. He walked over from the teacher's group with a smile on his face. The teacher in charge of Hengda was stunned for a moment and quickly stuttered, Professor. Professor C? He was a professor of the computer science department at Yunqing University, and also the youngest professor in the entire university. When he first started working 2 years ago, he had even gone viral on the internet once. Because he was good-looking and had become a professor at such a young age, he was simply the perfect male lead. Si Qingyan did not hear the voice beside him clearly. He only glanced at the school bus and then at Bei Yunj. He couldn't help but laugh. You died prematurely. Is this a place you should come to? Si Qingyan suppressed his smile and deliberately chased her away. Hurry up and go back. Seeing that Si Qingyan seemed to be very familiar with Bei Yunj, and could even joke casually, the smiles of the people who were mocking Bei Yunj stiffened. This was a computer science professor at Yunqing University. How did Bei Yunj know him? Could it be that he was also Director Lin? But this professor was so young. He didn't look like he was from the same generation as Director Lin. I'm here to participate in the competition. Bei Yunj's beautiful eyebrows moved as she pointed at the sign not far away. National High School Physics Competition. Did you see it clearly? Si Qingyan couldn't help but laugh. Master Pei, are you human? You won't even let this competition go? Bei Yunj was speechless. It wasn't that she didn't want to let it go. In her previous life, Bei Yunj had skipped grades too quickly, so the competitions she participated in later were all world-class. It was indeed her first time participating in such a national high school competition. Hearing these two chatting as if there was no one else around, the others felt that they were in a fantasy. This seems to be the very popular computer science professor at Yunqing University. What does he mean by that? Someone couldn't help but discuss. The girl beside her was envious. Did you hear what Professor C shouted just now? Master Pei. F***CK. I didn't think much of it when I heard the people from Class 7 call her that. But when Professor C calls her that, it sounds inexplicably doting. Yeah. Why do the two of them look so familiar with each other? At this moment, someone said weakly, don't you think there's a problem with Professor C's words just now when he asked Bei Yunj not to participate in the competition? Somehow, he felt that there was a deeper meaning behind those words. What problem could there be? Professor C must know Bei Yunj's capabilities and asked her not to come over. However, no one thought about it in any other way. They were just envious that Bei Yunj had a hospital director as her grandmother. She actually knew so many big shots in the academic world. However, seeing this, Cheng Zihuai's expression changed. He did not expect Bei Yunj and Si Qingyan to have such a good relationship. After all, when he was at the Computing Institute, he had tried all sorts of ways to gain Si Qingyan's favor. However, Si Qingyan had always been reserved in front of him as a genius professor. Although Cheng Zihuai could accept this, what was going on with Bei Yunj? Why was even Si Qingyan shouting such a ridiculous title? Just like those ridiculous hooligans from Class 7, they praised Bei Yunj to the skies. Leia could not help but ask, Zihuai, is Bei Yunj very close to this professor? Although Leia, who had just transferred, was also targeting Yunqing University, she did not know which professor there was. Cheng Zihuai's handsome face was ugly. He did not answer this question and only said gloomily, let's go. No matter what their relationship is, Bei Yunj can only be at the bottom. Chapter 350. After entering the venue, Si Qingyan muttered from the side. You didn't participate in the competition the old master signed you up for, and insisted on participating in such a competition. In the future, when she attended an event in the Computing Institute, she was introduced as the winner of the K.Z. Busaka competition. She was great. First place in the National High School Physics competition? Wasn't it embarrassing? Bei Yunj's eyebrows moved. I didn't sign up for this. Hearing this, Si Qingyan immediately understood. Another student who had been tricked. However, Hengda probably didn't even know that they had accidentally poached a god. Alright then, do well. Anyway, you're all prepared. At this moment, Si Qingyan remembered his duty as an invigilator. Suddenly, Bei Yunj paused and was silent for a while. Brother Yan, I don't think I brought a pen. Si Qingyan was speechless. A few minutes later, Si Qingyan borrowed a pen from upstairs and gave it to Bei Yunj with a pained expression. There was actually someone who forgot to bring a pen for the competition. Thank you. Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched. Bei Yunj had also finished lunch, and had yet to return to class when she was pushed onto the school bus by Lu Yuanxi and the rest. After the exam, the candidates who came to participate in the competition left the examination hall one after another. On the way, people were discussing. It's really AF asterisk King B paper. This is too difficult. Why is it so difficult? Someone was about to suffocate. Because the second place in the previous Raphael competition transferred to Hongda to participate in the physics competition. The paper was changed at the last minute. 1 2 3 4 5 The person beside continued to explain. However, I said during the exam that the last few big questions were set according to the standards of the Raphael competition. There are also basic questions in front. Amazing. I'm participating in an ordinary physics competition, and I can actually meet a big boss who participated in the Raphael competition. The person who heard the explanation had a look of despair. Hongda is indeed the top high school in Yincheng. They even recruited such a big boss. I estimate that they can enter 3 of the top 5 this year. Cheng Zihuai from year 3 and Qin Youjiao from the Qin family are both participating. Besides, they're all the best in physics. No way? Hearing the discussions from the other schools, the students of Hongda all raised their chins and walked out of the examination hall with pride. Even so, they didn't do well in the exams. Before long, in the school bus, the teacher in charge gently handed Leiyu a bottle of mineral water and said with a smile, "How was the competition this time?" Seeing this treatment, the others couldn't help but be envious. However, unexpectedly, after Leiyu took it, she pursed her lips and did not look too good. I didn't finish the last 2 major questions. Hearing this, the others also sucked in a breath of cold air. It was normal that they couldn't understand it. Leiyu couldn't do it either. The person who came up with this question was too ruthless. The teacher in charge froze. He did not expect that even Leiyu could not solve the last question. She couldn't help but panic. Even the second place in Raphael's competition was in Hongda. If the winner of the competition was not a student from Hongda, wouldn't Hongda become a joke? Then what about you, Zihuai? The teacher looked at Cheng Zihuai hopefully. The last question is a little gambling. Cheng Zihuai frowned. However, when the teacher in charge heard Cheng Zihuai's words, he heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 351. Everyone looked at him enviously. They did not expect Cheng Zihuai to be so capable. Even Leiyu could not help but take a few more glances at Cheng Zihuai and smiled. "Zihuai, you're amazing." With that said, Qin Youjiao, who was behind him, remained silent and her expression did not look too good. Originally, she was one of the top students in the cohort, but she only did 3 small questions in the back. Even if she got all of them right, she could only get more than 10 marks. At this moment, a year 3 girl could not help laughing. "Teacher, what are you afraid of? Anyway, we're last in the competition. No one can snatch it from our school." With that said, everyone instinctively looked at a certain person in the front row. Although they did not say it, they agreed with her in their hearts. Why was a bad student here to join in the fun? Wasn't she embarrassing Hongda as well? Hearing this, the teacher in charge did not say anything, but her eyes swept over Bei Yunj, who was playing with her phone unkindly. Bei Yunj had just turned on her phone when she saw Si Qingyan in the group chat. An official member of the Computing Institute. Si Qingyan. Ha 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 ha, I'm laughing so hard. Guess who I met when I was invigilating the exam? Zhong Shenglin? Dean? The others also sent a series of question marks. Si Qingyan, from now on is no longer an ordinary person. She is the winner of the 32nd National High School Physics Competition. As soon as this news was released, it attracted a lot of questions from the members. What was going on? She even participated in such a competition. Did she not plan to be a human anymore? Dean. Take care. Researchers should cherish their own feathers. At. Bei Yunja's eyelids twitched and she turned off her phone. It must be fate. However, Si Qingyan was still talking nonstop. Si Qingyan. I'll never forget that after Master Pei finished writing the paper in more than 10 minutes, before she could sleep on the table, she heard the boy next door wonder why this question was so difficult. That kind of disdain and complicated gaze. Si Qingyan. An old Joe from my school saw Master Pei sleeping. Sai, why is another one useless? Si Qingyan. In the entire examination hall, only is sleeping seriously. I can't take it anymore. Ha 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 ha. When they returned to school, School was almost over. Lu Yuanxi asked casually, "How did it go?" "Yeah, it's just SOSO." Bei Yunj was calm and collected. "Lu Yuanxi. That's it. Could it really be single digits?" If he had known earlier, he would have encouraged Chubby Chu to take the exam instead of Bei Yunj. That night, after the exam, the question setter held a thermos flask and appeared in high spirits at the exam area. "How is it? My standards are good, right? Let alone second place. Even if Raphael was first place, he wouldn't be able to get full marks." The bald male teacher was in high spirits and had a rosy smile on his face. In the past few years, the standard of the exam papers was getting worse and worse. As a matter of fact, he still had to ask him to come out if there were any slightly better students. However, no one had expected that Hengda would recruit a student who had won a prize in Raphael's competition. The young teacher next to him poured tea for him and couldn't help but compliment. "Teacher Huang, you're still the most respected person in the hearts of the students. We have to learn from you in the future." Just as the two of them were chatting happily, the teacher, who had worked hard to mark the papers, felt strange when he saw a paper with sloppy handwriting. Then the more he corrected it, the tighter his heart became. Chapter 352. He suppressed it for a long time before he managed to stop himself from blurting out vulgarities. Even his mind was in a mess. "What's going on, old Yi?" The young teacher turned his head and asked the teacher who was marking the papers. This old Yi was usually the calmest. Why was he so flustered today, as if he had encountered a ghost? Damn! The teacher was still immersed in his own world and could not extricate himself. "What's wrong? The student's score is too low?" Teacher Huang walked over and patted the young teacher's arm. He smiled and said, "It's very normal. I've been setting papers for so many years and no student has ever gotten full marks. After all, he was the number one in the physics circle." No, the teacher said in a daze. "This student seems to have full marks." As soon as he finished speaking, the young teacher and Teacher Huang, who were chatting happily just now, froze. Immediately, they went to look for the paper. How is this possible? The standard of the students in Raphael's competition is so high? Teacher Huang picked up the scrawled paper and looked carefully at each question. He felt as if he had been struck by lightning. "Teacher Huang, this can't be right?" The young teacher looked at Teacher Huang's expression and had a bad premonition. However, even he might not be able to get full marks on this paper. How could a student get full marks? Is it the second place in Raphael's competition? Teacher Huang gradually found his voice and asked with a trembling voice. "I don't think so. The second place student in Raphael's competition is not from this examination hall. This student, I don't know where he came from." At this moment, in an office building of a certain university, someone had gathered all his energy and wanted to finish marking all the papers as soon as possible to see who this student was. To be able to get full marks on Teacher Huang's competition paper, this was a talent that the university was fighting for. 12:34, the next day. It was the weekend. Bei Yunj went to see Old Master Qin early in the morning. Old Master Qin knew about what happened to Director Lin some time ago, and asked with concern, "How has Director Lin been recently?" Bei Yunj nodded. "Pretty good, Grandpa. She had already gone to look at the house and bought a high-end apartment for Director Lin. Otherwise, if she really bought a villa, Director Lin would definitely not be able to live in it. After all, it had taken Bei Yunj a lot of time to move her into the high-end apartment." That's good, that's good." Old Master Qin smiled and looked at Bei Yunj. He sighed and said, "Our Guer is so beautiful." Bei Yunj stopped flipping through the book. "Grandpa, what's the matter?" Old Master Qin rubbed his hands together nervously. "A few days ago, Alang came looking for me. He said that there's a family game competition and he hopes that I can participate." "Then you should participate," Bei Yunj said slowly. She remembered that Old Master Qin and Qin Lang had fallen out a lot because Qin Lang had taken the path of esports. This time, it was probably Qin Lang who wanted to improve his relationship with the old master. "Gur, why don't you go? This is something you young people like to play. How can an old man like me play games?" Old Master Qin looked at Bei Yunj eagerly. "Grandpa, I'm about to take the college entrance exam. How can I have so much time?" Bei Yunj said with a smile. Old Master Qin. No matter who said this, it would sound like it was the case. But when it came from his granddaughter, it was a little too perfunctory. I don't need much time. Anyway, if I lose, your third brother is useless. Old Master Qin was too stubborn. Chapter 353. Bei Yunji's eyebrows twitched as she rubbed the cover of the book with her fingertips. She was not interested in this kind of thing that appeared in the public eye. Suddenly, the phone rang. Bei Yunji immediately stood up. Grandpa, have a good rest. I have something to do, so I'll go back first. Seeing that Bei Yunji refused, Old Master Qin could only watch her leave. After Bei Yunji walked out, she saw that the person who called her was Zhong Shenglin. Zhong Shenglin did not say much over the phone. He just asked her to come to the institute. At the Computing Institute. The moment Bei Yunji entered, she entered the laboratory and saw Zhong Shenglin's serious expression. What's wrong? This was the first time Bei Yunji saw Zhong Shenglin looking for her so anxiously. There's something wrong with this chip. Zhong Shenglin's gaze stopped on the sealed chip. His expression did not look too good. Something was sent over just now. It's for you. For me? Bei Yunji glanced at the cardboard box at the side and saw that the recipient was indeed her. Recipient, however, this mail was obviously not sent by a regular courier company, because there was no sender. Bei Yunji's eyes flickered. She laughed again and prepared to open the cardboard box. Gur, why don't you not touch it first? Zhong Shenglin stopped Bei Yunji, afraid that there was something messy inside. It's okay. Bei Yunji picked up the scissors and slowly opened the cardboard box. The moment the cardboard box was opened, the rotten smell inside filled the air. Inside was a tongue that had been cut off and a pair of bloody eyeballs. 118-inch gu. Zhong Shenglin's expression changed. He immediately wanted to throw this scary thing out. Let Ji Yiqing deal with this thing. Bei Yunji's upturned eyes were slightly suppressed. She did not show any emotion. She found the tape and sealed it again. No one knew if this was one of those people who had died in the dark. But now it was clear that, through the undiscarded chips, those people knew that Ji Yiqing and the others were asking for help from the Computing Institute. He was also threatening. However, they didn't dare to go too far, and didn't want to compete with the Computing Institute. After all, offending these people at the top of the computer field would not end well. It was very likely that they would end up in a life-and-death struggle. Gu, you'd better not interfere in this matter. Zhong Shenglin frowned. He was still worried about Bei Yunji's safety. The thing he didn't want to see the most still happened. Bei Yunji's beautiful eyebrows curved slightly. She chuckled slowly, but her anger gradually grew. Where did all these ignorant people come from? After saying this, Zhong Shenglin had an inexplicable premonition that some things were going to be tricky. Elder Zhong, ask Ji Yiqing to send me a copy of their information. I want all of it. Bei Yunji curled his lips at Zhong Shenglin. His smile did not reach his eyes, but it sent chills down one's spine. Okay. Zhong Shenglin had a feeling that Bei Yunji was going to cause a big commotion again. The huge patent fee last time, and the maps of the gods later had already become surrounding news in the circle. Now new gossip had popped up again. Scientific research upstarts and terrorists fighting each other in a bizarre manner? It was really puzzling. How could this ancestor's temper be so bad? Gur, I still have to remind you that this matter is too dangerous. Chapter 354. For now, other than the Computing Institute in our nation, and the internal staff of the Computing Institute, very few people knew that it was Bei Yunji. Bei Yunji thought for a moment. I'll be careful. Zhong Shenglin was speechless. Did he mean that she should be careful? He was telling her not to get involved, all right. However, compared to Zhong Shenglin, who had racked his brains, Ji Yiqing heaved a long sigh of relief when he received the news. Finally, he managed to invite her over. Will she really help us? Ahui was also very curious about this person. Although there were many people in the scientific research field who had high praises for her on the internet, this person had not even revealed her face. She has already asked us for a copy of the information. Ji Yiqing also felt that things were a little different from the plan. He kept feeling that her initial actions were a little too fast. It was not until quite late that Bei Yunji left the Computing Institute. For the past few days, She had been deliberately avoiding a certain someone. However, the person who was avoided was not in a hurry. Instead, he patiently waited for the young lady to stop being awkward. At the dining table, Yin. The man suddenly called out. Bae-yun instinctively looked up. Yes. Immediately. Before Bae-yun could react, the man's slender and well-defined hand was already close to her cheek. He casually tucked her black hair behind her earlobe. The ticklish contact made Bae-yun inexplicably shiver. When she looked up, she accidentally met the man's dark eyes. She instinctively looked away, as if her gaze had been burned. However, the man chuckled and said casually, "Your hair fell into the bowl." Bae-yun was speechless. Why was he paying attention to other people's hair when he was eating? 187. A certain someone seemed to know what she was thinking. His gentle and noble eyes were thin and seductive. Brother likes to look at our Union no matter what. Bae-yun was speechless. Our Union is cuter than other girls when she's awkward. The man smiled unhurriedly. Bae-yun said, "Let's eat." The next day, Bae-yun took the chip out of the glass box and examined it. "It's just a broken chip. Can't you just destroy it?" Si Chingyan couldn't help but ask as he watched from the side. Who knew a dark light flashed across Bae-yun's eyes, and she suddenly chuckled. It's a gift from him. It would be a waste to reject it. Before Si Chingyan could feel puzzled, he saw Bae-yun throw the chip into the equipment and analyze the data on the computer. "Isn't your system different from the one given by the institute?" Si Chingyan realized the problem. Bae-yun said lazily, "Yes, I made it myself. It's more convenient." At first, Si Chingyan had yet to understand how this was convenient, but after about 20 minutes before he could react, he saw Bae-yun attacking something. Wasn't this guy researching the chip just now? The next moment, Bae-yun answered his doubts. Soon, she pulled out 2 recording files and played them. It was a recording of the conversation between the 2 spies. The second recording did not stop. Other than the conversation between the spies in the gang camp, even the conversation between Ji Yiqing and the forensic doctor was recorded. Obviously, this was a scheme by those people. That was why it was exposed. You can even do this? Si Chingyan was about to lose it. He thought that everyone was doing academic research, but what was Bae-yun doing? Chapter 355. How did you get these 2 recordings? Si Chingyan still felt like he was dreaming. Then he saw Bae-yun throw the chip into the blender after copying the data. It's in their computer. Bae-yun raised her eyebrows and said casually. Her actions were much more arrogant than those gang members who secretly recorded Ji Yiqing and the rest. Si Chingyan felt like he was living in a sci-fi blockbuster, but then he saw that this person had no intention of stopping. What are you doing again? Si Chingyan had yet to accept reality and asked stiffly, analyzing their exact location. Let's go and eat. The system will automatically test it later. It will take some time. Bae-yun's words made Si Chingyan feel like he was someone who had never seen the world. They were both computing students and were both in the computing institute. Why was there such a huge difference? Was this the reason why Bae-yun was old Master Zhong's favorite? When did you learn this? Si Chingyan asked shamelessly. When I was young. I forgot a little. Bae-yun thought for a while and said. In her previous life, Mother Pei was afraid that Bae-yun would go out and cause trouble, so she was very strict with Bae-yun. Bae-yun was either in the laboratory or surfing the internet at home. However, unexpectedly, it was precisely because of this that Bae-yun started to develop a strong interest in all fields of computing. At the same time, it also caused a huge commotion online. Si Chingyan cursed. A person who was not even 20 years old said that she was quite young. How young was she? Haha. This unfair world. The next moment, Si Chingyan, who was full of resentment, leaned over and asked sneakily, Master Pei, can you give me a copy of your system? I won't tell anyone. If you want it, go and copy it later. Bae-yun glanced at him. If the others in the institute want it, they can come and get it. Si Chingyan shook his head crazily and said righteously, No, they can only come and get it when I'm familiar with it. Bae-yun. Then when this specific location is detected, won't your mission be completed? Can you tell Ji Yiqing and the rest? Si Qingyan sighed. Technological criminals nowadays really thought that no one could deal with them. She even tried to provoke Bai Yunj by sending over human organs. In the end, the word cowardice did not exist in this ancestor's dictionary, and no one liked to curb violence with violence more than her. What the ancients said was right. Evil people had to be dealt with by evil people. What's the hurry? Their headquarters are at the border area of country R. It will take some time to deal with them. Bai Yunj chuckled. His eyes were cold. Si Qingyan's eyelid twitched. He had underestimated Bai Yunj's vengeful nature. They had already set their sights on the gang headquarters. Afternoon. In the director's office. Zhong Shenglin was sitting on the sofa pouring tea when he saw Si Qingyan walk in distractedly. What's wrong? Gu, or has solved the chip's problem? Si Qingyan was speechless. Yes. Does that chip have any other uses other than monitoring? Si Qingyan said. I don't know either. Zhong Shenglin stopped what he was doing. Then how did she solve it? She used the chip's data to hack into the gang's computer, and even obtained the complete recording of the undercover. With that said, Zhong Xinglin's hand trembled, and he almost spilled the tea. She was doing this in the morning? Zhong Shenglin froze. Chapter 356. Not really. Her self-made system is already analyzing the exact location of the gang. Currently, there are 3 snow hiding areas and 1 gathering area. Si Qingyan smiled at Zhong Shenglin. You really found a treasure. I think that compared to the safety of this ancestor, you should be more concerned about her bad temper. The branch threatened her, and now she's going to destroy their overseas headquarters. Si Qingyan's eyelid twitched. The most suffocating thing was that he really thought that she could do it. Zhong Shenglin was speechless. No one thought that this matter would develop in such a different direction. Forget it. Let her do it if she likes it. Zhong Shenglin calmed down and said slowly. After all, it was fine as long as the person in trouble was not Bai Yunj. Si Qingyan was speechless. Look, all of them were already indulging Bai Yunj to this extent. It was simply twisted love. The next day, because it was the day the results of the physics competition were released, many people were very excited, especially Class 1. I heard that our grades dean has already followed the principal to prepare to receive the teacher giving the award. Someone said excitedly. Hearing this, the girl who was still doing her questions glanced sideways in surprise. The award is being given today? Isn't it usually only the results at this time? Wasn't this year's physics competition a little too rushed? Yeah, maybe it's because someone did too well. With that said, that person glanced at Leia, who was playing games enviously. Leia was good-looking and good at gaming. She was even so good at physics. Many boys in the class had defected and turned from infatuated with Qin Youjiao to infatuated with Leia. After all, girls who knew how to play games and were good-looking were more down-to-earth to them. Really? I heard that the Year 3 teachers are calculating the scores of the students who went to participate in the physics competition. The highest scores are Cheng Zihuai and Leia, about 70 to 80. This competition paper was set by Teacher Huang. How high do you want it to be? Since a teacher came to our school to give the award, it means that the first place must be in our school. With that said, the girl raised her chin arrogantly. It's either Leia or Cheng Zihuai. At this moment, the girl who was closer to Qin Youjiao suddenly laughed. Her tone was full of mockery. Did you calculate Bai Yunj's score? After all, he's the first person from Class 7 who dares to participate in the competition. I'm really looking forward to it. Don't joke around. The teacher hasn't even entered the 7th class yet, but he still calculates the marks for Bai Yunj. Do you think it's not embarrassing enough? The few girls felt superior and laughed mockingly. They simply looked down on the people from Class 7. In Class 7, other than the 1 or 2 who wanted to get a scholarship through Class 7, the rest were all trash. Compared to Class 1, Class 7 was the same as usual. Only Lu Yuanxi and a few others would comfort Bai Yunj from time to time. They were all people who relied on their looks to make a living. Why should they compare their IQ with others? Chu Zhixing's attitude remained unchanged. He said seriously, I think Master Pei will definitely be fine. If Master Pei wanted to do well, He might be better than Leia from class 7. However, when the people around heard this, they looked at Chu Zhixing with complicated gazes. Brother Chu, you're one of the few top students in the class. Can you stop talking nonsense all day long? Lu Yuanxi's eyelid twitched. I'm telling the truth. Chu Zhixing glanced at Bai Yunj, who was sleeping on the table, and continued. Master Pei is much better than me. Chapter 357. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. It turned out that Fatty Chu was not bragging on purpose. He was really a brainless fan of his deskmate. During the flag-raising ceremony, all the students in the class gathered in the field. They also saw the teachers who had come to give out the award. Teacher Yi, it's been hard on you all the way here. The dean's face was full of smiles. No, your school is also full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Your school has 2 of the top 3 places in this physics competition. Teacher Yi looked at the dean meaningfully. You really can't underestimate them. Hearing this, the smile on the dean's face became even brighter. Is that true? Looks like our students have put in a lot of effort. To have such good results, you probably can't just rely on hard work. Teacher Yi sighed. After the full marks paper was graded, Teacher Huang, who had graded the paper, did not sleep the entire night. After all, Teacher Huang had been grading papers for more than 10 years, and this was the first time he had encountered a failure in the industry. That's right. The Dean of Teaching didn't understand what Teacher Yi meant, and could only agree. A hint of sarcasm flashed across his eyes, but he suddenly changed the topic. Teacher Yi, it must have been hard on you to grade the papers this time. I wonder, how is our school's lowest score? Your school's lowest score is not bad. The other schools have even lower scores. Teacher Yi smiled and patted the dean's shoulder. You've already given our competition teachers such a big surprise. Why are you still so humble? When the dean heard this, he felt that these words were a little strange. 70 to 80 points was considered a surprise? After thinking about it, the dean accepted this statement. After all, Teacher Huang had issued several national papers back then, and even the national average score was only 40 to 50 points. He heard that because of this, Teacher Huang was almost beaten up by his parents. Suddenly, Professor C, why are you here too? Teacher Yi saw Si Qingyan from afar. I love Chinese network. Si Qingyan put down his phone calmly and smiled. It's nothing. The results of this competition are not bad. I came to take a look. Teacher Yi? ? A person who even escaped from the grading paper had the cheek to mention results? Do you know what the highest score is this time? At this moment, when the dean saw Si Qingyan, his eyes lit up. This was the youngest professor in Yunqing University. Si Qingyan did not notice anything, and was still sending messages to the Computing Institute's group chat. Member A, has it started? Si Qingyan, I haven't seen her yet. Wait for me to secretly take a photo later. Si Qingyan, everyone, don't you want to see the precious video of her winning first place in the National High School Physics Competition? Member A, I want to see it. Give me a checkup. Member B, I want to see it +1. Ha 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 ha. I didn't expect such a day to come. Zhong Xinglin. Si Qingyan, Professor C. When the dean's friendly voice sounded, Si Qingyan was so frightened that he almost dropped his phone. He glanced at the Dean of Teaching, and his expression did not look too good. What's wrong? I heard that Yin University is planning to recruit specialized students. How would I know? Si Qingyan gave a fake smile. His face darkened when he saw that someone was standing in the best position he had chosen. The dean sensed Si Qingyan's impatience, and could only change the topic. It's really hard on Professor C to invigilate this competition. At this moment. Chapter 358. Then let's not talk too much. Let's start the award ceremony. With that said, Professor Zhou, who was beside her, had already picked up the honorary certificates of the 4 winners with the principal and the rest. And the principal was holding the honorary certificate of first place. Then, when the principal opened the honorary certificate with a smile, thinking about how to praise Leia, he froze when he saw the name clearly. This certificate is. After the principal regained his senses, he felt like he had been struck by lightning. Then he immediately pulled Professor Zhou, wanting to ask for an explanation. Principal, don't be too happy. It's not time to give the award to the first place yet. Professor Zhou nudged the principal with his arm and teased. The principal's face twitched a little. He was about to go crazy. Who was written on the certificate in his hand? The principal suspected that he was presbyopic. With trembling hands, he mustered up the courage to open the certificate again. In the end, he saw the name clearly again. Was he really not joking with him? The principal's expression was not very good. His eyes drifted past the last few people in Class 7 who were talking and finally landed on the lazy and bright girl. The form teacher of Class 7 thought that the principal found their class too noisy, and immediately reprimanded Lu Yuanxi and the rest. Don't talk. They're giving out the award on stage. Lu Yuanxi glanced at Bai Yunj and patted her shoulder to comfort her. Bai Yunj was speechless. At the same time, 6th place Qin Youjiao, 69 points. When Teacher Yi announced this result, everyone below the stage was in an uproar. What the F***ck? She got 6th place with 69 points? You're wrong. There won't be many high marks when Teacher Huang Qi sets the paper, let alone full marks. Someone who knew Teacher Huang patted the shoulder of the boy who was in a state of shock. Yes, and because of Leia, Teacher Huang directly used the B paper. The B paper has always been more difficult than the A paper, not to mention that it's his paper. Hearing this, everyone understood that the candidates this time had suffered a grievance that they should not have suffered. This was too ruthless. The top 10 only had such low marks. Not only were the people watching the show, even Qin Youjiao, who had won 6th place, did not look too good. She bit her lip. He felt that this matter was a disgrace. She had never received such a low score in her entire life. Jiao, you did pretty well. You came in 6th place. After that person comforted her, he changed the topic and sneered meaningfully. Think about a certain someone who participated in a competition, but couldn't even stand on the podium. Everyone around them knew that this person was none other than Bai Yunj. However, hearing this, Qin Youjiao's expression improved slightly. She clenched her fists and walked up the stage with a faint smile. Although her score was a little low, she had originally expected to be in the 4th or 5th place, so her ranking wasn't too far off. Moreover, no matter how many marks she got, Bai Yunj would never be able to compete with her. After that, when Qin Youjiao walked up the stage, the people around her started to compliment Leia again. Yaya, if it's not you, it's Cheng Zihuai. That's right. Yaya is good at this. Hearing these words, Leia could not suppress the pride and smile in her cold eyes. Vanity rose in her heart. I didn't do well in this competition either. Actually, even if I got 2nd place. Before Leia could finish her sentence, she heard the teacher announcing the results. 3rd place Leia 76 points. Chapter 359. The voice on the rostrum sounded clearly and strangely in the entire field. Everyone fell silent. The smile on Leia's face did not disappear in time. F***ck, Leia is 3rd? The other students could not help but exclaim. These words also made Leia's body stiffen and her face turn green and red. However, she quickly looked up and stared at the teacher on stage. She still could not believe this fact. How was this possible? How could she only be 3rd? Leia gritted her teeth. Her legs seemed to be filled with lead and she could not move. Maybe the 2nd place is from another school? Someone guessed softly. Since the 1st place was from their school, it could only be Cheng Zihuai. But other than Cheng Zihuai, who else had the ability to beat Leia? After all, she was the 2nd place in Raphael's competition. Suddenly, someone who was also thinking about this problem noticed the certificates in the hands of the principal and Professor Zhou. He exclaimed, "No! Look, the teacher has 2 certificates in his hands?" With that said, the atmosphere seemed to have fallen into a stagnant state again, making people feel extremely strange. So the 2nd place was also from Hengda? At this moment, someone asked weakly, So, our school took all the top 3 places? Everyone fell silent. They had a subtle premonition. Was there going to be a dark horse today? Even Leia only got 3rd place. Then what kind of god was the 2nd place? For some reason, the entire school was in a state of excitement. After all, compared to a stable top student, everyone was more willing to see a dark horse appear out of nowhere. Moreover, this dark horse was too ruthless to be able to surpass Leia. At this moment, Yin ebook. In the entire school, only class 7 was in a state of nothing to do with me. Anyway, no matter who it was not from their class. I'm so tired. Brother one, can I go back and rest? The boy called out to the form teacher carelessly. Teacher Wen's eyelids twitched. His heart was pierced. Other students went on stage to receive awards, but his students found it tiring to stand below the stage. Bear with it, it's almost over. Teacher Wen looked at his watch and sighed, his eyes filled with sadness. All right, don't make old one sad, Lu Yuanxi said as he elbowed the boy next door. Bei Yunj was the only one who participated in this competition. It was impossible for her to get a good ranking. Originally, if Chu Zhixing went over, he might have been able to get old one a place. Thinking of this, Lu Yuanxi couldn't help but look at the lazy girl beside him. At this time, the teacher on the stage announced the results again. Second place, Cheng Zihuai, 78 points. Teacher Yi nodded in satisfaction and praised. You did very well. As soon as he finished speaking, the people who were still discussing were all stunned. Their faces were about to crack. Wait, what did they just hear? Cheng Zihuai was second. Was the world a fantasy? F*CK. F*CK. What kind of operation is this? Cheng Zihuai is the second. Someone couldn't help but curse. What impression did Cheng Zihuai have in Hengda? The unshakable status of a prodigy. Therefore, it was not surprising that he could surpass Leia. But what kind of immortal could actually kill Cheng Zihuai? This is too crazy. Someone started whistling and clapping. God. The strongest dark horse of the year? The first person to tear Cheng Zihuai apart is awesome. The audience laughed and jeered, while Cheng Zihuai's expression was extremely ugly. Chapter 360. Initially, when he heard from below the stage that someone had beaten Leia, he was a little surprised. However, he did not expect to be beaten as well. Cheng Zihuai's handsome face darkened, but he could only walk towards the rostrum, looking as if he had been greatly humiliated. At this moment, not only the students, even the teachers were stunned. Hengda was hiding such a dark horse. Beast. Immortal. She actually beat Cheng Zihuai. She's indeed a ruthless person. Lu Yuanxi thought of his deskmate who didn't seem to like him saying beast, so he changed his words. With that said, he turned to look at Chu Zhixing, deliberately mocking Cheng Zihuai. Brother Chu, guess who might be first? Master Pei. Chu Zhixing did not hesitate. Oh. It was so tiring to talk to this fatty. Cheng Zihuai patted Bei Yunj's shoulder and could not help but ask. Master Pei, guess who's first? Bei Yunj frowned and said leisurely, I guess it's me. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. Why did these two come to school instead of taking their medicine? At this moment, even Teacher Wen rubbed his hands enviously and couldn't help but sigh. How nice. He didn't know which form teacher had led a dark horse student halfway. Suddenly, on the stage, Teacher Yi smiled and the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes deepened. I heard everyone's discussion and I know that everyone is curious and wants to know the score of the first place. Then let's announce it now. First place, Bei Yunj, 100 points for the competition. As soon as he finished speaking, the venue fell into a dead silence. Teacher Wen, who was rubbing his palms, froze and looked up abruptly. On the other hand, Lu Yuanxi, who was about to wake Bei Yunj up, choked on his words. What did that mean? Cool. Who was first place? Suddenly, someone couldn't help but exclaim. First place? Full marks? Bei Yunj? Was this a joke? It shouldn't be Bei Yunj. Soon, Cheng Zihuai's expression changed and he looked at Bei Yunj mockingly. He sneered without saying anything. She was really something. She even had the ability to get first place in the competition. But did she not think that anyone would be stupid enough to believe her? Bei Yunj cheated. Teacher, I want to report you. This isn't fair. How can Bei Yunj be the champion? That's right. How could she be number 1? And full marks? Are people nowadays so arrogant when they cheat? Someone said indignantly. Especially the people in Class 1. Their emotions were especially intense. If you don't know how to speak, then shut your mouth. Lu Yuanxi's cold voice slowly sounded with a warning tone. For a moment, those who wanted to mock Bei Yunji did not dare to provoke Lu Yuanxi, so they could only shut their mouths. Does she have the face to accept the award? If she's not allowed to talk about it, then she shouldn't have done it. The male straight-A student who had a grudge against Bei Yunji before had a gloomy look in his eyes and a mocking smile on his face. There was actually such an idiot. He actually cheated and got full marks. At this moment, on the stage, the principal was also very embarrassed. The dean's face was even darker. It was this Bei Yunji again. Even if she cheated and got first place, what was the use? With so many teachers from famous schools here, she was still embarrassing Hengda. Professor C, this matter is due to the bad character of our Hengda students. They cheated openly. I apologize to you on behalf of Hengda, the dean said through gritted teeth. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.